Today in Houston, Texas, the Verizon INDYCAR Series hits the streets in the shadows of NRG Stadium and the famed Astrodome. And the best part about it, it's not once but twice, a demanding doubleheader race weekend where the heat and humidity of the Lone Star State are equally as tough as the competitors each driver faces. And the fans were treated to not only a chaotic opening race yesterday, but an historic INDYCAR podium. Never have the top three spots on the podium been filled by three Colombians, and two of them are rookies. Series points leader Will Power can consider himself lucky. After starting yesterday in 18th, he crashed once, but he did salvage a 14th place finish and only lost 6 of what was a 39-point lead. However, his Penske teammate Helio Castro Neves, who is the closest to him in the championship, has turned up the heat by winning the pole position for today's 90-lap, 153-mile race number 10 of the 2014 championship. Welcome to INDYCAR Live, presented by Verizon. Before we get to talking about the drivers, the cars and the teams, we've got to tell you about just how hot and challenging it is today here in H-Town. 90 degrees, a heat index of 100 and humidity relatively high. Hi folks, Lee Diffie with you here, trackside in Texas for round 10 of the championship. That means we enter the second phase of the 2014 series, and when we look at double headers, just any time they are considerably tough. But add to that the heat and humidity here in Houston, and the physical demands on the drivers, teams, everybody involved is really elevated. If you weren't with us yesterday, the edge was knocked off that a little bit with some rain and some regular rain showers. So with that and the slippery track, things got spiced up. In fact, it got whipped up into a chaotic crash-marred race that everybody's still talking about. A lot of people looking at this halfway point of the season as their personal turnaround points. You want to see a race? We've got one at the front. Justin Wilson fending off Carlos Huertas. The young Colombian is looking really racy. Can Justin Wilson hang on? Is it possible that he's got enough fuel to last the end of this race? 3.5 seconds in the lead. There he is.
Tip this lap, tip this lap.
He couldn't last.
It's not a bad risk on a race that's timed. If there had been a caution, you never know, it could have paid. They stay green and he's going to the back.
This is the first time, incidentally, that Carlos Huertas has led a Verizon INDYCAR Series race. Carlos Huertas has never in his racing life felt pressure like this. Ray Hall has hit Canaan. Oh dear, and yellow waves. And this 23-year-old Colombian, albeit under yellow, will see the checkered flag first.
Nice job.
There it is.
Nice job, Carlos.
A first-time winner in the Verizon INDYCAR Series. It's a Colombian 1-2-3. What a story. And we'll continue to talk about that story today. It was valuable for Huertas in the points, but we'll get to him in just a moment. First of all, we have to look at the players at the front. Yes, Power did lose 6 yesterday. He lost another 1 today with Castro Neves claiming that Verizon P1 pole award. Hunter Ray snuck 10 points closer yesterday to Power. And other players, Juan Pablo Montoya jumped up into the top 5. Andretti and Dixon lost some spots, and Hinchcliffe and Bourdais elevated themselves into the top 10. Tough day for Canaan, we know that, so too for Wilson. Huertas, the race winner, leapt from 20th to 13th. It was quite the day, and with more on that, we say hi to Kelly Stavers. Kelly?
Lee, it was quite a sight to see that all-Colombian podium yesterday. 2 rookies and a former champion. Carlos Huertas was the victor. Carlos, what did it mean to you in your first ever INDYCAR win to share the podium with 2 of your fellow countrymen, including Juan Pablo Montoya, a childhood hero of yours?
It was great. I think yesterday it was a really difficult race in the beginning, and as the race went on, it kind of got better and better all the time. And at the end, it was nice to win, and especially on my rookie year, it's always special. It's really hard to do it as well, so really nice that, and also nice for our country to have the 3 of us on the podium.
Well, and Carlos Munoz, you benefited from that late race crash and penalty on Graham Rahal, but your day started by serving a penalty of your own, a drive-through. Did you think that you could rebound from that and get in position for a podium?
Yeah, I think in INDYCAR here, you have always to have your mind positive because everything can happen, can change so quickly. You know, we saw yesterday I had to drive-through penalty, and then I had to come in to change my front wing. You know, it seems like the strategy is a lot here in Detroit. I was complaining that we lose all the positions in the pit stop. It's not possible. We're doing something wrong strategy-wise, but, you know, yesterday was in our favor, and, you know, it was a great day for all Colombian people, not only for race car drivers, but also for football fans
These guys were busy celebrating in victory lane. There was not much to cheer for with Will Power. He's standing by with Kevin Lee.
No, there was not, Kelly. But as Lee mentioned, there is still some good with the bad and hopefully no ugly, that he still does have a sizable lead in the championship. But it all started with the first practice. Gets very airborne after one of the curbs coming through the one section. And then qualifying yesterday. Obviously frustrated. 18th starting race number 1. Couldn't really move forward. Had some issues. Finished 14th. And no better today either. And he will start 18th for the second straight race. So, Will, how do you salvage something out of this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation to yesterday, obviously, without the rain, although there was some spits coming down there. But, man, you know, we got to, you know, take it as it comes. We've got to see what happens with the leaders and when the yellows fall. And if we... I hear that. I better win. But, you know, and then see what we can do strategy-wise, because it's difficult to pass. That's definitely was the case yesterday, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Now, yesterday, as you mentioned, it was wet early, and then you had the off that kept you from going at it. But what issues are you dealing with right now, especially in qualifying this morning?
This morning was actually getting held up. You had to back off and then move offline, and I got some stuff on my tires, and you only got three. We only got 3 laps. You know, it's so competitive, you couldn't get it done.
All right, we'll watch. I think he's still going to be entertaining. Coming from 18th today, Lee.
We'll continue to watch the championship leader. Now, if the mechanics and engineers don't work hard enough and didn't work hard enough yesterday, their day was elongated. Reason why, 11 of the 23 cars sustained some form of damage, and that means many of the teams had to work late into the night. There was no team curfew placed upon the team personnel. It was important to get the damage fixed because at 10 a.m. this morning, they had qualifying for today's second race, and it wasn't without incident. Look at this. That's how full Will Power's hands were, wrestling the number 12. And as Kevin mentioned, he will start 18th. And the body language with his engineer, Dave Faustino, says it all, doesn't it? Big challenge ahead for the man at the top. Now, his Penske teammate, Juan Pablo Montoya, was impeded by Josef Newgarden during that phase of qualifying, and race control agreed with Montoya, penalised Newgarden and stripped him of his 2 quickest laps. The Russian rookie, Mikhail Aloshin, he was quickest in the first of 2 groups in qualifying, and he will start on the front row alongside this man who was the quickest out of both groups, Helio Castroneves for Team Penske. And cue the Helio performance. We know how excitable he is, but this one meant something. He was pumped. He got that bonus point for the Verizon P1 award, and starts in the best possible position to mount the attack on his teammate. So we know that Castroneves is on the front row alongside Aloshin. We've never seen that combination up there. Graham Rahal, who was a real performer yesterday, starts on the second row alongside Simon Pagenaud. Wilson and Bourdais, they can't seem to get away from each other. After Texas Motor Speedway 3 weeks ago, they start alongside each other here as well. And Scott Dixon felt he got impeded in qualifying from Simon Pagenaud, so he's not happy either. And as we roll through the rest of the grid, there you see Power all the way back. But for Castroneves, it's career pole position number 40. That equals him with his friend and mentor Rick Mears for 4th on the all-time list for pole positions in IndyCar Series history. The only names ahead of Helio Castroneves and Rick Mears are Andretti, Unser and Foyt. And Jan Beekes, that means Helio's in some pretty rarefied air.
He definitely is, Lee, and it was by the slimmest of margins for the pole position for Helio, less than 2/100ths of a second. How worried were you, because your 2 teammates had already been out and they didn't do well?
Yeah, no, obviously, in all fairness, the track is all clean on the first group, and I wasn't thinking about that, but after I finished, because I did a few laps only, and I said, listen, the car started pushing, nothing I can do anymore, and Roger's like not saying a word. I'm like, how do we do? So finally, when they say P1, and that was awesome. So great way to start here in the Shell Pennzoil car, and hopefully we finish the same place.
We saw that celebration. We know you're animated, but that was extra animated. Was in a way, was that a bit of gamesmanship, kind of rubbing it in, head games with your teammates?
No, not about that, but it's a great way from last year. You know, last year we had a redemption, let's put it this way. Last year we had the issues, and now we're back again in the game, and hopefully it'll be a turnaround. Like for us, unfortunately, was for losing the championship. Hopefully here will be the turnaround for the championship. And now we have a 90 laps. Hopefully, whatever happens with the weather, I don't care, as long as we keep in the front.
Possible redemption from the pole position. Lee?
And needless to say, Helio Castroneves is pumped. His countryman and good friend Tony Kanaan was in a thrilling fight for a podium yesterday, along with the National Guard entry of Graham Rahal. It didn't end the way either of them wanted. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Now there is a great place to watch the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston from the club level at NRG Stadium as we welcome you back to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. The track is literally just below where they are. That is a super vantage point. Well, third-generation racer Graham Rahal in many ways is still very much waiting for his 2014 season to ignite. And yesterday, it almost did. It was an eventful day that didn't deliver, but there were some positives to take away from it, despite a controversial ending. We're hearing that Graham Rahal in the National Guard entry has stalled on the line after stalling on the grid. Here he is, right at the very end, vying for a spot on the podium in the National Guard entry. Rahal on the inside! What a slingshot! Graham Rahal set up Carlos Munoz and just blew on by. That was sensational. So Rahal from last, from stalled on the grid.
Only got 2 more to use.
To fourth. Rahal! Wow! Rahal has hit Kanaan. Oh dear, and yellow waves. And Tony Kanaan will be in disbelief.
Oh well, that was a bit of a messy end.
And the recipient of that contact, Tony Kanaan, joins us now. You have remarkable restraint, my friend. I don't think I've ever seen you that mad before, and you held it all in. You were professional. How did you do that?
I don't know. I have to actually apologize to my wife that had to put up with me the rest of the night in the bus. So I love you, baby. I had to do what I had to do. Like I told you in the interview, I had to be professional. And, you know, sometimes I have a kid at home. I have a bunch of fans there, very little. I don't want to set a bad example. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a race, and we'll move on. So now it's a new day.
And the good thing is you had a great car at the end of that race. Did it transfer over to today?
Yeah, I mean, we qualified really well today. I think, you know, we're in the top 8. We're being in the first session with a green track. We're 4th. So it's going to be a tough day out there, Kevin, and we talked about it. It's going to be really hot. It's going to be a survival. We have a lot of tire strategies, a lot of fuel strategies. So it's going to be, to me, in my opinion, it's going to be a survival race.
Well, we will miss the show from Tony coming from the back, but much better from him. He starts beyond mid-pack in 8th today, Jan.
And we talked earlier to Helio about how he missed the pole position less than 2/100ths of a second. Of course, that was against Simon Pennzoil. The pole. I'm going to move a bit so I'm getting a bit of breakup. Let's see if we get our signal back here. Yesterday from the pole, you looked great, but then you had obviously braking issues. Is that resolved?
I hope so. I was fine in qualifying. It's fine in when you run really hard in dry condition because you can generate a lot of pressure on the brakes, and it generates that temperature. And yesterday in the rain, the left front rotor never woke up until it dried, and the car came back to life. Unfortunately, we got collected with Dixon, but I think we got a really fast car. We showed it again today. Helio beat me today, but I beat him yesterday. So it's going to be a great fight, and looking forward to it. I think there's going to be a lot of surprise by the end because it's really hot, and physical condition is going to matter.
Definitely looking for a hot race, and as he says, some action up front. Kelly?
With Graham Rahal. And Graham, a little while ago, we showed the highs and lows of your day yesterday. That late race contact, though, is what has everyone talking. We heard from Tony. How have you reflected on that moment, which cost each of you a shot at the podium?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I made a mistake, and there's nothing you can do about that now. I mean, we had a fast race car. We had the fastest race car at the end of that day. And we showed this morning, I think we've got the pace to be up front again today. But, you know, I feel bad about it. Like I said, I mean, what's the logic in hitting someone on purpose to finish 11th for us? It does no good. We needed the points. We wanted to be on the podium. And as I said yesterday, I thought I could have passed him anyway if it had gone green. So it wasn't a bonus to me, that's for sure. But, you know, I'm ready to get this National Guard car up front. We're going to start 4th today, and, you know, we feel good about where we're at.
Day of redemption for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just another one of those days, but today feels really good. The guys done a great job this weekend, and, you know, I'm proud of them, proud of all the effort everybody's putting in. And like I said, you know, I got to make the National Guard proud, and I think we can do that.
Alrighty, starting from the 2nd row, Lee.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, he was trying for a podium yesterday. That's where Simona Di Silvestre finished when we were here at this venue last October. And speaking of Simona, she doesn't compete in the Verizon IndyCar Series anymore. She is testing Formula One for Sauber and just finished a 3-day test where she completed more than 300 laps in Valencia, Spain. Things are going well.
it's just different type of racing. You know, also as a driving style, I feel the IndyCar, you can really hustle it around quite a bit, and that's the fast way, where the Formula One car, it's more tidy. You know, really got to make the car kind of do the work.
And we wish Simona well. Can't wait to see her perhaps in a Friday practice session like Susie Wolff will be doing when we see you for the British Formula One Grand Prix next weekend. And a reminder that race day, it's on CNBC. That's the Santander British Formula One Grand Prix. Hope you can join us for that. Well, when you come to Houston, Texas, you can't help but talk about the legend AJ Foyt. And there's his driver, Takuma Sato, who was a real story yesterday. When we come back on IndyCar Live, we'll talk to both those. Here at this modern circuit, but racing in these parts goes back a long way. Yes, the Astrodome and midget racing back in 1969 is where this footage came from. There's Supertex, AJ Foyt. Raced 4 times there, including a win. But in 69, it did not go his way. Isn't this spectacular old footage? It is just fantastic. And on this occasion in 1969, it was the late Gary Bettenhausen's day. And I know that AJ certainly enjoyed racing there. And there is the Astrodome Circuit 2014. Still very much part of this circuit as we race in between and around these 2 amazing sporting facilities. You know, there is only one driver in the history of motorsports to have won the Indy 500, the Daytona 500, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans and Daytona. That is the legend, AJ Foyt, or as I mentioned, his nickname, Supertex. And being here in Houston, there's no better place to talk to him than his hometown, and no better person to interview him than his good friend, we think, Robin Miller.
Okay, Mr. Foyt, against all odds, this January you turn 80 years old, my friend. Now, there's been a lot of things I've seen in my life where I couldn't quite believe, but I said, you making it to 80 years old is one hell of an accomplishment.
Well, a lot of people said I'd never live to be 22 years old. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, you weren't reckless. It was just a dangerous time.
Well, I think it was. You know, that's one thing I see in racing today, Robin. Take the stock cars, Indy cars, everything. It's about 200% safer in the cars than when I drove.
Think about this. Dan Gurney's 83. You guys won Le Mans together. Uncle Bobby Unser's just turned 80. Parnelli's 80. Rutherford's 77. You guys all came through the toughest, most grueling, dangerous period of racing, but it was also the most glamorous. You guys were kind of the gladiators of the day that people gravitated towards.
We all come up fighting from the little ranks to the big ranks, and you just don't see that, and I think that's what people is really missing in racing today.
A few years ago at Elkhart Lake, there was about 100 people lined up to get your autograph, and they had all the current drivers, and they had about 15 guys around them. And afterwards, I said, hey, that's pretty good. They haven't forgot the old man. And you said, I don't know why they still care so much. Parnelli says that all the time, and that's what we don't have anymore.
And they knew one thing, that we went out and raced. We didn't only race for money. We raced for the glamour and the win. I think that's one thing that the people believed in. They knew I give 110% everywhere I went in a car, and I never give up, and that's just been my life.
You raced right over here at the old Astrodome.
Well, that's really where I started, at Playland Park, quarter-mile dirt. I started in a stock car and midgets and all that, and I didn't know how much fun I was having when I was really nobody and just starting out, because it was a lot of fun.
I got a lot of pictures of you, but to me, this is one of the great ones. Because there's a guy that was really tired because you just won Langhorne. I think it was a 100-lapper, and it was like 94 degrees outside.
I'll agree with you, and you can see I was pretty tired, even though I was in good shape back then.
This is you getting ready to practice at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a golf shirt.
That's quite true, you know. You didn't have all these fancy uniforms and fireproof stuff, and people don't realize in them roadsters you carried 75 gallons of fuel, not no 20.
On race day, there's a picture of you after you qualified with the Dean Van Line's T-shirt on.
Yeah, when I first qualified in 1958 for Clint Bronner, the late Clint Bronner, I had a Dean Van Line's T-shirt. Well, that was when I had enough money to get a uniform.
So then you didn't have to wear a uniform the first year you made Indy? That was just by choice. You had the
cotton T-shirt, yeah. Was I ever that young and had that much hair?
Well, you also have the greatest voice answering machine of all time. It says, this is AJ, leave your name, I might call you back.
That's exactly right.
Well, there's one person he takes a call from, and that's his driver, Takuma Sato. He's got a lot of respect and admiration for this talented 37-year-old Japanese driver, and AJ was furious yesterday with how Takuma's race ended. If you didn't see it, this is the story.
Whoa!
Big move from Takuma Sato. Straight into the race lead goes Sato. No attack, no chance is his motto.
Look after your tires.
That's code for calm it down. Race for the lead is on here. Hinchcliffe attacking Takuma Sato.
On son, you've got to push now. You've got to push on these tires.
Yes.
Got him.
And that's because Hinchcliffe had a lightning stop on pit road.
A lapped car. Michaela Lotion takes Takuma Sato out of this race.
What?
One of the most spectacular drives to the front, and now it's done.
What gets you a car lapped down, you'd think you'd back off, but I don't know. You got a bunch of idiots is all I can say.
Takuma is right now making his way through driver intros. Obviously, Larry, your dad unhappy with the situation yesterday. For his part, Michaela Lotion says he just didn't have anywhere to go. How did you see that incident through your eyes?
Yeah, that was a tough deal. I mean, both guys kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time there. So that's racing. I think it was just a racing incident, something that happened. But today's a new day. Got starting 10th, so not quite up as close as we were yesterday. But we know we got a good car and good driver.
Sounded like there was a little bit of bruising on Takuma's right wrist. What's the update with his condition?
He didn't complain much after qualifying this morning, so definitely we were concerned about it because we had an injury last year and it was really lingering. But he said he feels good, so I have no doubt we'll get this ABC car up front today.
Yesterday I talked to you about some of those aggressive moves he made early in the race. Do you expect to see more out of him today?
I don't know. I'm trying to keep the dark hair. It's all going gray so fast when he makes those moves, but that's what we like about him. You know, he is aggressive, but you got to be in these races. These races are so tight and close that when a guy can pull them off, it's really exciting.
Right, the ABC Supply Company starting 10th today, Lee.
Yeah, Larry is very much the calming influence. He motivates Takuma, but then he's got to kind of keep the lid on it a bit. He's very much a good coach. Quick reminder to download the IndyCar 14 app. Visit verizon.com/IndyCar or the App Store or Google Play. Verizon and IndyCar, driving technology. When we come back on the other side of this break to IndyCar Live, Paul Tracy, Steve Matchett, their views on yesterday and today for this doubleheader weekend. We are counting down to the start of round 10, race 10 in the 2014 Verizon IndyCar Series. Yesterday, the opening race in this doubleheader weekend was an eventful one for that young driver there, Marco Andretti, and he and his Andretti Autosport team have been penalised. Yes, they've been fined $2,500, and Marco is on probation for 3 races. And this is the reason why. For those of you who watched, you will know he was out. He was the last car on the lead lap, and he was fighting hard to stay on that lead lap. However, race control has said he did not heed the blue flags. The blue flags mean you must let the car, there's a faster car behind, you must yield to that. Marco did not do that. I don't think he agrees with the decision, but Jan Vikas, it's been handed down, and the team and he has to deal with it.
Yes, Lee, and it won't surprise you, this was a topic of conversation this morning in the drivers' meeting. And first of all, the officials wanted everyone to know that the penalty and the probation had nothing to do with Marco impeding Sato for the lead. It all had to do with, as you mentioned, not heeding a direct response from race control. And in my opinion, they actually got off fairly light. But there is a debate that is raging between many of the drivers, and it depends on their background. If you're an IndyCar driver with an oval track background, a lot of times they're saying, we feel you should be able to fight. Fight as you do on an oval. Fight to the death to stay on the lead lap. But those that come from a road racing background, especially in Europe, of course, there you don't do it at all. So there's kind of a clash of cultures here. IndyCar has taken note, but for today, same rule. You may race to try and stay on the lead lap, but if you lose a gap, and you impede the leader, they'll ask you to pull over.
Yeah, and I think I know a driver who may not have heeded a directive from race control, and he might be standing very close to me, Mr. Paul Tracy, once or twice. Steve Matchett joins us as well from NBCSN Formula One. But, mate, I know that there's been a lot of times in your career where you've been that last car on the lead lap racing to try and stay on that lead lap to give you a chance later on. What's your take on this?
I don't ever remember that. I know for sure I've never gotten a black flag for getting lapped, but... you know, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, ultimately, if you're going to try to hang on to the lead lap, you've got to pull away from the guy who's the leader. You can't hold up the leader a second and a half a lap, back him up to your teammate. So I think they made the right call yesterday.
Steve, yesterday's race was pretty chaotic. How did you enjoy it?
It was a fabulous race, and there was so much going on. Today, there's going to be a lot going on too. Of course, a lot of guys that are racing have an awful lot to prove to get over these sorts of events that we saw yesterday. A lot of collisions, a lot of accidents. There was a lot of damage overnight. I would say, overall, the big winner has got to be Dalara's composite department. Man, those guys must have been working flat out to get all those new wings made.
And Paul, you've got to reset, you've got to rebound for this one today. You think the guys are ready?
Well, I think they are, and I think Castro Neves is really ready today. He fired a shot over the bow of Will Power. He's got to capitalize on getting the pole today. If I was him, I'd just try to drive away and not worry about fuel mileage and just go for it.
And one thing that you'll hear us talk about a lot today, if you haven't been with us on the show, extreme heat here in Houston. Time now, though, for the opening ceremonies before the second race of the weekend.
Gary Zaritis, Chaplain IndyCar Ministries and Redemptionist Priest at St. Gerard Church in San Antonio, offers this afternoon's invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, our Father, give these drivers, 21st century charioteers, the wisdom to know when to be daring and thrill us, and the guidance to know when to surge to victory to amaze us. Keep these awesome 21st century chariot machines, designed by creative engineers with their DW12 chassis, Honda Racing HI14TT, and Chevrolet V6 turbocharged engines, propelled by E85 fuel, supported on Sweb's management systems and Firestone red tires, and maintained by salt-of-the-earth mechanics and pit crews. Keep them swift and safe. Most of all, Father, may the team spirit and skill exhibited on this MD Anderson Cancer Center Speedway by these talented teams inspire and encourage medical science to bring home to the winner's circle a cure for all forms of cancer. Can I hear an amen? Amen. And go Team USA.
And now, fans, please welcome Associate Professor in Pediatrics at the University of Texas MD Anderson Children's Cancer Hospital, Dr. Dennis Hughes, as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it for him, race fans, Dr. Dennis Hughes, for his performance of our national anthem.
Just about set to go for race 2 this weekend. It has been a physically taxing weekend. It's been taxing on the teams and cars as well. Let's check in with Robin Miller.
You know what, Lee? When I first met this guy in 1984, he had a stock block Chevy, and he was running in the Long Beach Grand Prix.
he was the colossal underdog, and the fans cheered every lap he made. Well, this is his 30th year as a car owner. Only Roger Penske and A.J. Foyt have been doing this longer, and he's no longer the little guy that everybody feels sorry for. He's become a bully. 3 years, 3 different victories, 3 different drivers. Hell of a job yesterday by your rookie.
He did a great job. You know, we used a strategy to put him up front, but then he had to do it from there. He pulled away from when Pablo Montoya was childhood hero, so it's kind of neat to be able to do something like that.
You said yesterday in an interview, these guys don't know how to call a timed race. Tell us your little secret without giving it away.
Well, I just think you have to think differently. You quadruple gain from the end. If you can get a yellow at the end, you gain time, you gain laps, you gain so much. So, in the old days, they didn't close the pits on yellow. And the strategy was really important. You had to have your head in the game every second of the day. So I think, just all that experience of race calling all those years, it helps.
All right, Lee. Dale Coyne looking to repeat again today. Be a double winner this weekend here in Houston.
Robin, thank you. That old adage, you can't buy experience, and Dale Coyne epitomizes that. Thanks for watching IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. When we come back, no standing start today. It's a rolling start, so that means the green flag will fly. Back in a moment. Houston in June. Yes, of course, it is hot and humid, but the 23 drivers in the Verizon IndyCar Series are ready for it as we welcome you to the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston, presented by the Greater Houston Honda dealers, live here on NBCSN. Good crowd. Looking forward to this one. No rain in sight, we say for the moment, unlike yesterday. So good dry conditions, but a hot, hard day's work ahead for the IndyCar drivers. It is time for the command.
Houston IndyCar fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome Chief Executive Officer of Kent Lubes, Mr. Bill Kent, to give the command.
Gentlemen, let's have some fun and start your engines.
Castro Neves will, of course, start from the front row, his 40th pole position. He told us earlier this is a chance for him for redemption after what had happened last year here at Houston. But consider Michaela Lotion also on the front row. He's only 17th in the championship. He's got nothing to lose. We know he's aggressive. But remember, there's only room for one car in that first chicane. Kelly?
Yesterday, Graham Rahal had people talking for all the wrong reasons. Today, he'll look to silence those critics, and he knows the best way to do it is with a strong performance. He has said all weekend he has a car capable of winning, and that's exactly what he'll look to do today, starting fourth. Kevin?
Kelly won. Pablo Montoya nearly got his first win since Gateway near St. Louis in 2000. He's got another good car here today. If he peels now, watch for Montoya, but he'll have to go off strategy for 14th, Robin.
Kevin Willpower just pulled away. He came into Houston with a 39-point lead and a little bit of swagger. Well, he started 18th yesterday, couldn't pass anybody. He started 18th again today. This is probably the worst weekend Willpower has had his whole career in IndyCar. And then Hunter Ray, even worse. He starts 21st today. He's had a couple wins this year. He's the Indy 500 winner. He's got a long way to go, just trying to catch Willpower and keep up.
There is a lot to play for, and as we mentioned earlier in the show, that we are now entering the second half of the 2014 season, so if you're about to do something, now is the time. Don't miss a chance to get in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes simply by logging on to shophonda.com. Today's lucky winner, sitting behind Arie Luyendyk, the two-time Indy 500 winner, is Michael Lamb from Houston, Texas. He's our lucky winner. How is it, Michael?
Oh, it's incredible. It's braking, acceleration, turn in.
You sound fairly calm.
No stranger to motorsport words.
Well, you enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. And folks at home, you can enjoy the ride like Michael is by logging on to shophonda.com. He won the opportunity, Michael, that is, by doing that. And you too could start a race with somebody like Arie Luyendyk.
Well, and here we have a lap of the track coming up. The guys are coming up here to the start-finish line, and the long straightaway. Good passing opportunity into the first chicane, but you can only get one car through that section. Short little straight, a 90-degree second-hand corner. long back straightaway around the stadium, which is a good passing opportunity yesterday where we saw Sato and Aloshin have their problems. Definitely not wide there, but as we get into this twisty section of the track, the last 2 turns are medium speed turns, and that will end the lap. So tricky place to get around, tough to pass on.
Take a look at this, Steve, from yesterday, and Paul mentioned that high-speed turn 5, that big right-hand sweeper leading up to turn 6. Turn 6 is a hot spot. It was yesterday, and it will be again today. Folks, if you weren't with us for the opening race of the weekend, just check this out. Moves like this. Sebastian Saavedra on willpower. Steve, it really was a hot spot on the track.
It's a hot spot, and as we were saying in yesterday's show, all around this track, this is the moment where we lost Takuma Sato, unfortunately, after that tremendous charge up the front. Look at this, going 3 wide, 2 wide, 4 wide, 3 wide. It is all over the place, this track, but it is very, very bumpy. You can see this very hard on the brakes down into the braking zone. The cars are unsettled anyway because of the nature of this track, and then when you factor in the high braking zones coming down into that part of the track, it is a real challenge.
All right, it's time to take a look at how they will line up. It's the grid with thanks to Mother's Polish. And yes, you saw Helio Castro-Neves on the pole alongside Michaela Loshin, Bourdais and Wilson. Will they be contenders today? James Hinchcliffe thought he may have had a chance yesterday, and then it went away. He wasn't expecting as many yellow caution flags. The defending series champ, Scott Dixon, will start on the 6th row. Yesterday's winner, Huartes, on the 7th row alongside Montoya. And we know how racy he can be. Briscoe's got some unfinished business. So too has Andretti, and then Will Power, the series points leader, starting on the 9th row. And we work our way back towards the back of this field. Yes, there is Indy 500 winner Ryan Hunter-Reay starting on the 11th row of the grid. The track, as Paul Tracy mentioned, it's only 1.6 miles in length, but this is a tough one.
Looking at the tyre allocation around here, I have to say only 2 drivers have chose to go on the primary tyres. Everybody else have gone onto the alternates, onto the reds.
Let's talk you through and show you our onboard views. First up, it's Ryan Hunter-Reay with thanks to Verizon. He'll give us this interesting shot, and we'll watch the guys hard at work around this 90-lap, 153-mile or a 2-hour time limit. That's important, and it may come into play later. Charlie Kimball with thanks to Chevy shows us his view, and then James Hinchcliffe with thanks to United Fiber and Data. And we saw James in the lead for a good portion of yesterday's race. National Guard gives us this view for Graham Rahal in the 15 entry. He starts on the 2nd row and is determined to be a factor all the way to the checkered flag. Lucas Oil provides us this view of Simon Pagenaud, yesterday's pole sitter, and determined to be a race winner again in 2014. And then there's Sebastian Bourdais, who just never gives up. The 4-time IndyCar champion is ready to be a winner again. And a quick reminder about our Verizon streaming. To download the IndyCar 14 app, visit verizon.com/IndyCar, the App Store or Google Play. Verizon and IndyCar, driving technology. We are hearing that KV racing driver Sebastian Saavedra had a stuck throttle, and there he is. The KV AFS driver will start from the back of the field. And again, stressing, Paul, it is a rolling start, a traditional rolling start, as opposed to the standing start of yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's totally different than yesterday as we're coming up to the last corner. If I'm Helio Castro-Neves, you want to make a nice clean start, and in my opinion, do a Sebastian Vettel. Get it out into the lead and pull away as quick as you can.
Houston, here we go. Castro-Neves in the Pennzoil entry at the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston takes the lead of this race down into turn 2 to this very tight and challenging complex. Does everybody make it through? No is the answer. Takuma Sato shortcut there. Was there contact? We'll find out. On board with Pagenaud. So he's got past Aloshin very quickly and effectively and is chasing Helio Castro-Neves on this opening lap. Brake issues yesterday hampered the Frenchman. He feels he can win today. Montoya around the outside, and here comes Hunter-Reay as well.
Now this is it, heavy, heavy, heavy on the braking here. Control the car. It's so easy to dive in too deep here. Look at Hunter-Reay go, but you've got to control the car on the way out. Can he do it?
That sounded like contact with Charlie Kimball.
It did sound like contact. You're right. I didn't see any visual indication of that from the driving, but it certainly sounded like it.
There was some bodywork the same colour as Charlie Kimball's car in the middle of the road. It may have just been a front wing end plate, Paul, but there was contact.
Well, this is the toughest part of the race for these guys, because the racing at the front, everybody's fairly respectful. The further back in the field you get, Steve, these guys absolutely go bananas back there and make all kinds of crazy moves on each other. As we see Simon, he's closed up right on the back, and this is not what I would like to see if I was Castroneves.
Kelly, what's happening with Mike Conway?
Well, it looks like they're damaged. This was a team that suffered through a crash yesterday and had some damage to repair. And once again, you see the crew on Ed Carpenter Racing Team. Looks like they put a new front nose on the car. Yeah. That's going to cost him some time, but he's back out, Lee.
Check out Pagano.
Nose on the car, Kelly, you're right. And also I saw that the red tyres were off, and I think a set of the primary tyres on the car. Again, the vast majority of runners, as you see, using those softer tyres, the red tyres, which are less durable but more grippy. Only 2 drivers, as I said earlier on, chose to use those. Bourdais is on the primary tyre. And interestingly, after qualifying, Lee, Bourdais was saying that those tyres went off. The blacks faded super quick in qualifying. So it's going to be interesting to see what Bourdais' strategy is by starting on these tyres.
The Oculus entry, the orange car in second place, is Simon Pagano. He was the quickest guy coming into this weekend. He was fastest at the end of the second practice session, put it on the pole position. He ran into brake issues yesterday in the rainy conditions, and the race went away from him. He's putting the pressure on the leader as Newgarden is in.
No problems for Josef Newgarden. This is just strategy. They started in the back at 22nd after they were penalized in qualifying. They think the car is much better than that. So the idea here is to get on some sticker blacks. They've already served the requirement for the reds and going to have clear track the rest of the way.
Carlos Huertas, yesterday's race winner, will not get a double victory in Houston today. I wonder what has happened to the young Colombian.
Boy, what a disappointment. But yeah, interesting to see how many of these tyres, as Kevin was reporting there, as the cars are coming in, getting straight off those red tyres and onto the harder tyre.
Hunter Ray on the inside of Luca Filippi. Boy, this has been a storming drive. Hunter Ray, as you can imagine, is already the biggest mover in this race. He has jumped up 5 positions.
Oh, and he's definitely got the bit between his teeth. He's got to make a move forward. He's third in the championship, has had not a very good weekend so far this week, and he's got to move his way past up towards the front.
Message from race control, car 14, the ABC supply entry. There he is there, Takuma Sato, shortcutting that turn 2 chicane. He will have to give a position back. Montoya on the inside, and Munoz as well. 2 positions lost.
It's hard to give one back when you've got 5 cars on top of each other, so he kind of took a double penalty on that one.
You try and give 1, you're going to give 2, maybe 3.
As he comes under threat from, who is that?
That's Briscoe, Ryan Briscoe on the inside of Sato.
Nice and power, so
he's in trouble.
Giving up that position has really just thrown him all out of whack.
There's something wrong with Sato. He's going too slow. He's losing positions. He's lost 4 or 5 already in a handful of corners. Not the Takuma Sato we're used to seeing. Meanwhile, Helio Castroneves has half a second over Simon Pagano. Mikhail Aloshin still in 3rd. Ray Hall 4th. Justin Wilson 5th. Bourdais 6th. Hinchcliffe, Canaan, Dixon and Montoya now into the top 10 after getting by Sato. On board with Bourdais.
Bourdais is having a nice weekend this weekend. Obviously, yesterday he got a decent finish. He was up front. He's been up front in practice and qualifying all weekend, and right now running in a good spot, just biding his time. And it looks like Castroneves is cleared. Pressures have come up, and he's been able to stabilize his lead from the pressure that he had on him.
Sweeping around the backside of the Astrodome and NRG Stadium and down that high-speed straight into turn 6. Gives you a great view of this street circuit here in Houston. The Verizon INDYCAR Series here on NBCSN. The opening laps of the second race in a doubleheader weekend here in Houston, Texas. Lee Diffie along with Paul Tracy, Steve Matchett, Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee, Robin Miller and Kelly Stavist with you. What has been an enjoyable and much talked about weekend. We wonder what's in store ahead. 90 laps or 2 hours, depending which comes first, with heat in consideration. And we're above 90 degrees here in Houston. Race leader is Helio Castroneves. He still boasts half a second over Simon Pagano, Mikhail Aloshin and Graham Rahal. This man, though, the Indy 500 winner, Ryan Hunter Ray, has been charging his way through this field. He's made up 7 positions, Paul, with moves like this.
Well, this was good. This was good timing here. I mean, he just made a nice, smart move. There was 3 wide going into the corner. He held the outside line down the long straightaway. I think he got about 2 or 3 positions just in this break zone.
Well, he's really feeding it through the needle there, isn't he? A couple of times I thought he was on the point of backing out of that, but he's having none of it. The car's moving around, but look at him push forward with the car. That's awesome stuff.
Slice and dice.
That's awesome driving. Well, and as Lee says, awesome driving. Remember, he started the race well down in the order.
21st.
Yeah.
So he has stormed his way through.
Looking at the times of Sebastian Bourdais, remember, he's still using the primary tyre, the hard tyre, and his lap times are still competitive, Paul. He doesn't seem to be dropping off as a result of that. 1 minute 1.8, and the cars around him pretty much the same.
Magical story from yesterday. First time in IndyCar Series history that a Colombian sweep occurred on the podium. It was Carlos Huertas with the win, Montoya second, Carlos Munoz in third. But the day seems done, Kelly, for Huertas. Update us, please.
Well, we've got his team strategist, Derek Krauser, with us. From hero to heartbreak, what's happened to the car?
We really don't know at this point. The telemetry looked fine, and it just shut off. So we really don't know what the problem is at this point.
What's the plan from here?
Well, unfortunately, we're behind the wall, so we're done for today.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, what a shame. Yesterday was such a reason to celebrate, and it's all over as quick as that. No contact. They don't know. Team just guessing as much as we are. There's a lot of pressure on Russian Mikhail Aleshin because here comes the National Guard entry of Graham Rahal. He loves this section of the track and was dynamic here yesterday, pulling off some incredible moves. He told me yesterday he was setting up Kanan and Montoya for a 3 wide, and he thought he could do it.
Well, he's definitely been highly motivated this weekend with Luca Filippi coming in. There's definitely been extra motivation. He's driving like he should be driving. I think this is what we all expect from Graham, and I think what his dad expects from him. And I think he's got a really good shot at a win today if he can keep his head together.
A little bit of helicopter tape or something around the front suspension here. Look on the car on the left-hand side. It's nothing to worry about. It. This thick tape that they put around the cars to try and aero seal around the shut gaps of the car. I think it's just blown free of the wishbone, isn't it?
Jan?
As we watch Aleshin in that great fight with Graham Rahal, you can see the cars bouncing around. What a great onboard shot and how rough this track is. For Mikhail Aleshin, he said, you know what? This is smooth compared to where I started my racing on airport circuits in Russia. I like this kind of circuit. I think these kind of bumps. And look at this action right now. And he says because of the bumps, this is the kind of racing you get.
Hinchcliffe on Bourdais. It looked like there may have been a slight tyre rub, but Hinch is super pumped up as well. He wants a result he felt that he should have got yesterday. So he's on the attack.
And that's a brave move down the outside, Steve. We've seen that not work many times yesterday.
No, and again, keep thinking of it. You can see the tyres, the alternate tyres on these 2 cars, and Hinchcliffe behind there in the blue and white cars got to be thinking, I should have the pace. These tyres must now be able to make the move on Bourdais. Of course, Bourdais is doing everything he can to prevent that from happening, although he certainly won't have the amount of grip that Hinchcliffe has got right behind.
Shortcut the chicane, so we wonder if that's going to cause him a problem for time-wise. But this group of 5, 6, 7, 8 cars is really kind of being held up by Aleshin right now.
And race control, IndyCar race control will monitor the gap between Aleshin and Graham Rahal. If there was any advantage gained, they will make him give that back. I can't remember, somebody cut that yesterday and they had to give back 1.2 seconds.
Well, we just heard it just earlier that Sato cut the chicane and it lost him 4 positions just by giving up 1 space.
Keep looking at Bourdais' car, Paul. The back end, to me, keeps breaking away. It simply doesn't have the traction of the car ahead of him and Hinchcliffe right behind.
Well, I think that's just the combination of him being on the harder tire and all the cars around him are on the red soft tire.
There we go. There's Mikhail Aleshin. Just saying, I cannot make it, I'm out. And I think, to be fair, the margin pretty much remained the same.
Yeah. It's a very tight call there to see what, I mean, no position was gained or lost. It's merely a time, and how much time was not lost. It's very difficult to make that choice.
So the 2 cars out of the Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Racing stable are running in the top 3. Simon Pagenaud second, and then the SMP entry for Mikhail Aleshin running third. This group is growing, though, isn't it? More and more contenders are arriving on the gearbox of Mikhail Aleshin. This is going to get interesting, and we're only racing lap 13, just getting going in Houston. While IndyCar is in Houston this weekend, all 3 major NASCAR series were in Kentucky. Kyle Busch, congratulations, winning his 40th career Truck Series race on Thursday night. On Friday, Kevin Harvick won his 42nd career Nationwide Series race. And then, of course, last night, Brad Keselowski confirmed his spot in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup this year by winning in Kentucky again. And for all your NASCAR news, check into NASCAR America weekdays at 5 on NBCSN. There's the captain. So a win last night in Sprint Cup. His drivers are 1 and 2 in this championship. And Helio Castroneves is leading the race, and positions as they stand, not getting ahead of ourselves, just updating you as we stand, he would be the points leader if the positions remain as is. So Roger Penske, things are looking good for the captain right now. To Jan Beekes.
And they're looking good for Helio. And Paul Tracy, you were correct. The beginning of the race, the tire pressures were not to Castroneves' liking. Now they feel the car has stabilized. He's very happy with the balance of the car. And as you know, that's often what you do. You'll give up a little bit in the beginning of the race so that at this time, when it's hot and the tires are at their hottest, you're right at optimal pressure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a good point, Jan, that they bring up. If the tire pressures increase, the ride height increases a little bit as a result of that. And the aerodynamics start to work better across the car as well. So the whole car will all of a sudden be very different under Castroneves. And he's clearly much happier with the car, Paul. You can see that.
Yeah, you can see at the beginning he was just struggling a little bit. Now he's smoothed out. His hands have now become quiet as Hunter Ray enters the pit. He's really the first guy of the quick group here that's changing strategy.
Yes, and the idea here, this is what you want to do. You want to be one of the first cars to hit the pit window, and they add a lot of front wing to this car. Again, this only works for you if there's a caution now.
So we got to beat them out here.
They want to beat them out. The idea is if a caution comes before the leader's pit, that's when this works.
Yeah, and that front wing adjustment, Jan, that you correctly called there, going up on the front wing, just to try and give a little bit more front end stability, downforce on the car because of the lack of grip on these harder tires relative to the softer red wool tires. So when the tires start to give up the mechanical grip, you want to try and put a little bit more aerodynamic grip on the car to keep the platform stable.
Sebastian Bourdais we're looking at from James Hinchcliffe's United Fiber and Data Andretti Autosport machine. And Bourdais salvaged a 4th place finish yesterday with some resilient driving as he hassles the man who he collided with at Texas Motor Speedway 3 weeks ago, Justin Wilson. 2 ex-Formula One drivers, supremely talented, terrific to have them in the Verizon IndyCar Series.
These guys just seem to be able to find each other all the time.
All the time.
Definitely some disagreeing that went on yesterday. As we see the straightaway, look at the bumps on the straightaway. I can't underscore to you guys how bumpy this track is. And this feels like, when you hit these bumps, it feels like Mike Tyson is punching you in the arms. And you have to do this for 90 laps and 90-degree heat. So these guys are definitely getting a huge workout. As you see a little bit of damage on the front wing of Bourdais' car. Probably not effective. Looks like some tape or something flapping around there.
It does. Something's got on the front wing. That's going to take, again, the cars are very aero-sensitive around here, and you will start to lose front downforce as a result of that. I don't think it's the wing itself is damaged, Paul, is it? It's a little bit of something on it.
Tony Kanaan looking to rebound from yesterday. Kevin?
Mike Cole just told Scott Dixon a few moments ago that he was getting better fuel mileage than Kanaan, so no surprise that he comes in a little bit earlier. This is within the full fuel window, so it still could be a 2-stop race. Front wing adjustment, Kanaan is back out in the number 10 for Ganassi.
Interesting strategies playing out here. The cars could certainly run much deeper into the race in terms of fuel consumption. That's not the issue. What they're concerned about now certainly is tire wear. I think these red tires are just giving up the game pretty easy, Paul.
Yeah, it is. And as we see Will here, he's drawn his way up to this lead group now. It looks like he's having a better day today. Obviously, this morning was a complete disaster. He got out of the car, and it was just like yesterday he was mad after qualifying, and today he just looked defeated. But it seems to be coming right now in the race.
Coming right, all right. 10 positions gained for Will Power from his starting position of 18th. Of course, Hunter Ray and Kanaan have cycled through for their stops, but he's still the biggest mover. A Ganassi car is on pit lane. It's Ryan Briscoe.
Yes, and Ryan is going to take the black sidewall, Firestone as well. Oh, on the left rear, they have a trouble. There's trouble with the wheel nut. Oh, that was a costly stop. That was 11 seconds and change. That is what happens if you spin a wheel nut out of the gun. That's going to delay you.
Ryan Briscoe, too, had an altercation, a couple of altercations with Sebastian Saavedra yesterday as he comes out ahead of Ryan Hunter-Reay. He tangled first with Saavedra, and then, whether it was payback or not, they collided again. And Briscoe had 30 seconds added to his race time yesterday, which plummeted him down the order, along with Graham Rahal.
As we see James here, we follow him behind Sebastian Bourdais. He's looking for a way to get by, but there's very difficult in these conditions when you're running at these speeds to make a move.
Scott Dixon was running 13th. He comes in and makes his first stop within the fuel window. He wasn't really sure what kind of car he had today. He said the qualifying wasn't really indicative. They were one of many that was dealing with some traffic. He said, I'm just going to have to wait and see. I'm hoping it's good, but he didn't sound overly optimistic.
A rare Scott Dixon mistake yesterday where he just lost control of the car in wet conditions, slammed into the wall, ricocheted out, and hit not only Simon Pagenaud, but his Ganassi teammate Charlie Kimball. It's typically not what we see from the three-time series champ, and so he's looking to rebound today as well, like a lot of other guys, after a pretty costly day yesterday here on the streets of Houston. Here comes Hinchcliffe. He gets himself out of that mix. Couldn't do anything about Sebastian Bourdais, so the Andretti Autosport pilot decides to pit.
And that is exactly the reason why they're bringing him in at this point. They had asked him to use a little bit of push to pass to see if he could force the issue. He was not able to do so. We're seeing black sidewall firestones go on. Big wing change again. I don't think that...
Let's get on top of it here.
Yeah, he wants them to get on top of it. And, of course, I think we won't see any reds going on today. With this heat, you want to be on the blacks.
And what Jan's talking about, there are 2 tyre compounds in the Verizon IndyCar Series. You must use each compound at least once during the race. Hinchcliffe comes out in front of Tony Kanaan, and Hinchcliffe was very quick to praise his United Fiber and Data team yesterday, saying they gave me blisteringly quick pit stops. It was awesome. Unfortunately, the race didn't go our way due to the yellows, and we just weren't on the right strategy, but the team did an awesome job, and we just saw it there once again, getting Hinchcliffe serviced incredibly quickly.
Yeah, you've got to get him quickly serviced and out in the pit lane. Exactly right. Then you heard engineering say, push, we need a very good outlap now. And the reason for that is, of course, when this cycles round, when Bourdais comes into the pits, well, Bourdais going to want a very good stop as well, but that'll be the point where Hinchcliffe might be able to make the move on Bourdais by having a very good outlap on top of a very good pit.
And I have a feeling as we watch...
And you're good to go, go.
Justin Wilson is having trouble. He's not able. You can hear the radio communication that there was a problem. There is a probe on the fuel sensor, and if that malfunctions, in other words, you cannot put it into until the fuel buckeye is cleared. I'm guessing there was a problem there. He could not get it. Kevin?
Scott Dixon just pitted a few laps ago, so we'll watch and see what the issue is. This is obviously unscheduled. They're looking at the suspension. They've obviously got an issue, and this is going to take some time. And Scott Dixon is going to be out of the mix, and he's a few seconds away from going down a lap unless they can address this very, very quickly.
Brake problems. Brake problems. This is the event where his championship chances last year, which he won the championship, took a massive leap forward with a retirement, a double retirement from Helio Castro-Neves. Now the bad luck has struck Dixon here in Houston.
Yeah, complaining of brakes. It looks like the mechanics were just about to pull the nose off the car, Paul, which would indicate to me that perhaps they think they've got a long brake pedal. Maybe they're going to try and bleed the brakes and try and take some of that air out of the system. Didn't see anything particularly wrong visually from the rotors. No smoke, no flames around the front brakes.
They didn't seem to have a lot of urgency to try to figure it out, but you know, maybe it could be a situation of not big enough brake ducts on the car. Yeah. He's overheated the calipers, boiled the fluid, and now he's got a really long pedal that's going to the floor.
Helio Castro-Neves, the race leader, has lost a full second to Simon Pagenaud. You just saw it yourself at the front. Castro-Neves versus Pagenaud, then this long list. It starts with Mikhail Aloshin in third, Graham Rahal, Bourdais, Power, Montoya, who incidentally has set the fastest lap of the race. He's been on the podium twice in the last 2 races, and his Penske teammate is leading the way. Back in Houston, big doubleheader weekend for the Verizon IndyCar Series. Big points on offer that could change your championship big time as we enter the second half. of the 2014 season. A quick reminder, Thursday, July 31st, Meekum Dealmakers, an all-new series premieres here on NBCSN. Get an all-access look at how these collector cars actually trade hands. It's Meekum Dealmakers, and it premieres July 31st here on NBCSN. Montoya has pitted, so too has Michaela Lotion, and this is Takuma Sato.
Whoa, right here.
Yeah, that'll do. Get the car dead on the marks.
Got off to a tough start today, Takuma Sato, after such promising signs yesterday. And that leaves us...
Watch your speed all the way down. I need a good loud lap here. Good out lap.
That's the voice of Larry Foyt, constant coaching to Takuma Sato. On board with Graham Rahal. Let's enjoy the ride. And we understand that he is on his way back in. So it's 1.1 seconds between Castro Neves and Pagenaud. Then Rahal is third. Power is fourth as he just continues to surge his way forward while all the others are cycling through their pit stops. Power hanging tough and remaining out there. Montoya owns the fastest lap of the race. This guy, Rahal, the second quickest as he pits.
Hey, come on in. See if we can find neutral. Fuel's going in. He's not starting. Go.
Just wanted to highlight that, just that little bit off the marks. Again, Paul, that's something we were talking about yesterday. Those guys in the pits, they want their car, they want their man to stop absolutely pinpoint accurate to come out with a quick pit stop. And it's so vital because here comes Alotion. Now who's going to have the advantage coming out of the pits?
Rahal does at the moment,
there
but can he hang on to it? Alotion is at speed. He's at a lot greater speed. It's going to take some defensive drive, and they nearly hit.
They've touched.
How about that?
He's got him now, though. I mean, that was the mistake by Alotion. I think he'll be able to hang on now for the rest of the lap. So,
question is, Paul, is any damage on the back of the National Guard car as a result of that impact from behind?
Probably more damage to Alotion's front wing. Yeah. I wouldn't worry about the bumper on the car. But here's Power in the pits.
Boy, it goes to show, you know, you need those ultra-fast, slick pit stops, and then you have got to push like there's no tomorrow to make it work on track.
Hit our mark.
Well, Will Power has raced his way legitimately into the top 10, and as others pit, he's all the way up to 4th position. He gets off the reds and onto the blacks. He said, I think I'm better on the blacks anyway. So this could be a good stint for Will Power, who has stayed on strategy so far.
Where does he cycle out is the question. He started 18th. How much good work did he do? We're about to find out. Look for Power entering the racetrack.
He's long gone.
Yeah, that's super work.
Going a little bit longer than the other drivers on fuel, and then being able to get a nice slick pit stop and get out of the pits. He's way up the road already.
Alotion is in trouble. Now, whether that's because of damage on that front wing when he collected Graham Rahal, what has happened? Graham Rahal has dropped back as well. So these two guys, have they tangled somewhere out on track? Surely.
Well, for sure there was some damage to Alotion.
Debris all over the back straight.
Debris all over the back straight is the radio message. Bourdais finally into the pits.
And he's on track to do a full stop. They put on those red Firestones. They lowered the tire pressures. Team really happy with the times he put on the blacks to open up the stint. Sebastian Bourdais back out.
And there comes Power coming by.
And here is Alotion. How much damage was done to this car?
Oh, wow. There's hardly any of that front wing left, and that's where all the debris is on the straight, as our radio message was describing earlier on. So that's the reason for the lack of pace on the Alotion car.
We do have replays for you to tell the story of what happened to the SMP Racing entry of Michaela Lotion. Race leader in.
Yes, and they decided to pit right now. The reason is they heard on the radio there was debris. They didn't want to get caught by a yellow. Taking a little bit from fuel. 8.2 seconds, Pagenaud. Kevin?
Simon in, running in 2nd position. They're going to make a front wing adjustment. Behind the yellow car, so the lead will be the same with Castro Neves and Pagenaud back out. But those brake issues, obviously, of yesterday are not an issue today for Simon Pagenaud.
So let's tell you the story of what happened with Michaela Lotion and Graham Rahal in the National Guard entry and what caused that debris on the back straight. Here's the view from Rahal's car.
A little bit of defensive driving by Rahal here. He kind of held the inside, and then Lotion got it locked up and just really ran into the back bumper of Graham's car and broke the front wing, and then ultimately the wing came apart by itself with the bumps. It just broke itself apart.
The cascade element on the right-hand side has broke the mountain, and eventually that would break off completely.
Sounds like Graham has a gearbox problem.
Yeah.
Car will not skid. ECU emergency. ECU emergency.
So that's how he lost 3 positions. And then when Lotion lost that good portion of the right side of the front wing, that's why he dropped as well.
Yeah, I wonder whether or not that impact with Lotion perhaps damaged the sensor or something on the back of the transmission, but you heard his team suggested ECU emergency mode to try and get around that problem. We'll see whether or not that fixes it.
As we watch Castro Neves here, he's driving the perfect race, but now his teammate is up to 3rd place. What can this guy do to get a break?
And these guys will be saying Will Power is where he has come from 18th on the grid to 3rd on the same pit stop cycle as the guys up front. Stopped 2 laps earlier, but it's close enough. Pretty handy work from the championship leader. This is the kind of drive he needed on the 2nd day. Here is Rahal.
Get him a drink, please.
Frustration overload. Started on the 2nd row, and the day was looking so promising, Kelly.
Well, and Lee actually was having problems shifting before he came in for that first pit stop, so this has nothing to do with that contact with Lotion. He was already having trouble, and then we heard that emergency call after he pulled out of pit lane.
Helio Castro Neves continues to lead this race over Simon Pagenaud and Will Power, Bourdais, and returning to the series, Italian Luca Filippi is in the top 5. This fight at the front in the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston is more engaging by the lap. Simon Pagenaud and Helio Castro Neves just had a slight glance. Pagenaud really starting to intensify the pressure, and Will Power has caught them. This is what happened when we're in the break. Take a look.
We've seen this move on the outside, and it doesn't work very well, and they make contact. But the guy who's now in the picture is the number 12 of Will Power, who's come all the way from 18th on the grid as these two make contact. And good save by both. But Steve, you can cut your tire down by making contact with somebody's front, with their front wing.
It's so very easily done. The carbon fiber that the modern cars are made of, whether or not they're Indy cars or Formula One cars, they are very sharp. And if you do get that end plate or the fence of the wing onto the rubber, it will cut straight through it, as you quite rightly say, Paul, just like a knife. Very easy. Both cars could have been so easily out.
These 3 guys, Castro Neves, Pagenaud and Power, are in a league of their own. They've got about 7 seconds over the 4th place driver, Sebastian Bourdais. Remember, 1st and 3rd are teammates. 2nd and 3rd don't particularly like each other. They were good friends. They may have eased things out a little bit, but tensions have been incredibly high between Simon Pagenaud and Will Power in this 2014 season. Let's get an update at Team Rahal. Here's Kelly.
Mitch Davis calling the shots for Graham Rahal while Bobby Rahal is away. How confident are you got the issue resolved?
Well, we had a problem with the shifting. It's got a compressor on, and the compressor had a problem, so we had to come in and change the air compressor for the shifting, and we have pressure now, so we think we're okay, but we've lost a couple laps, obviously. So it's a shame because, well, we were right there in the top 3 or 4, and Graham was just waiting till the end to go. So.
Yeah, we heard a radio call from Graham. He sounded pretty down. How do you keep your head in it to salvage what's left?
Oh, that's what we do for a living. Graham's a real professional out there. You know, through thick and thin, he's going to try to drive as fast as he can here for the rest of the race.
Thanks, Mitch. Thank you. Kevin?
Mike Hall with Scott Dixon, the Target Chip Ganassi team. Brake issue, correct? And you have it addressed?
I didn't quite hear what you said there, but I'll just only say that, first of all, we're happy to be racing in Houston. This is the 4th largest city in the United States. It's great to be here. Secondly, we had a problem today with Scott with a master cylinder. We corrected it. We're back on the racetrack, so we'll see how it goes from here.
Anything that he or you guys could have done, or is it just one of those things that things fail sometimes?
Well, no, I don't know. You know, the thing is all of us up and down pit row here, we deal with master cylinder installation. That's a spec installation, and I think we paid the price for that today.
Okay, thank you. Mike Hull. Scott Dixon is back out, but he's 7 laps down.
Frustrating for the team, for the engineers and the mechanics, I'm sure, and you could hear it there with the explanation. You know, it's kind of a stock item. There's nothing we can do about the installation of it. And we saw, Paul, earlier on, the mechanics working inside the car with the master cylinder upside down. So maybe the bracket, whatever holds that master cylinder in place, had just broken free.
Yeah, and what he says when he says spec installation, it's they all use Brembo components, but you do have some choices of different sizes of master cylinders, but they all have to come from the same manufacturer. So maybe there was a problem. There could have been anything, a nick on the sleeve, it cut the O-ring on the master cylinder, it started to leak down, lose pressure. So it could be any tiny little thing that might have been done in manufacturing.
It looked to me when we saw that shot earlier on that it was the brake master cylinder reservoir itself, the plastic cup, if you like, that holds the fluid that had broken free. Typically that's on a little carbon bracket that is bonded onto the side of the chassis and held in place with tie wraps. It doesn't matter, it's off, but the car's back in action.
A little further back, and there's a good race on between Carlos Munoz and Luca Filippi. So while one National Guard entry with Graham Rahal has been bounced out of contention, Filippi, who is racing at the 4th different venue in his IndyCar career, very brief IndyCar career, is today the focus of our Mazda driver profile. He has done a nice job. Yesterday, it didn't go quite to plan for Luca, as he was very open and honest and said he just made a misjudgment. He collected the wall on the inside of turn 10 and it sent him straight across the track, and he slammed the outside wall, and that took him out of the race. This is a very talented and accomplished racer who may just be heading for his best ever IndyCar result. Long way to go, though. Not quite halfway just yet. So it's Castro Neves with half a second over Pagenaud, and the same distance back to Power, then Bourdais, then Luca Filippi, then Munoz. Montoya's up to 7, Hinchcliffe, Sato and Charlie Kimball in the top 10 here in Houston. A disappointed, despondent Carlos Munoz out of this race. That means 2 of the drivers who were on the podium yesterday are out of this race, and this is how it happened. Look at the second car, way out of shape. Ooh. And smashes the wall on the outside of the final turn 10, heading down the straight. And watch Juan Montoya behind him. He almost collided with Munoz, headed down that straight, but this is a big contact, Paul.
Looked like he just missed the turn-in, was a little wide, and then it just started to slide. Clapped the outside wall, broken suspension, now the tire's off the car, and I guess really no point in trying to drive it around and do more damage to the car.
No, he looked at one point, and you heard the team say, you know, it may be just the right rear, bring the car back in, but where the car stopped, it looked to me, Paul, like the top and bottom wishbone joints had broken and the upright was pulling itself out of the car. Suspension damage, it's over.
Maybe it lost drive through the CV joint, and you know, it hit hard enough that it could have broken something in there and lost its drive as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about a dynamic drive from 18th to 3rd, Kevin.
Tim Cindric, the team president for Team Penske, we thought you might have to go off strategy to get up front. How has he raced his way up there?
Yeah, he's certainly got a fast car, and, you know, he's done a good job. Obviously, we had to use a few overtakes, but he's done a good job so far, and I think the pit sequence worked out well for us, so we'll see if the second one does.
Is it yellow at this time good or bad for you guys?
It wasn't, I guess I'd call it neutral. We're going to stay out here, and really our window doesn't open up for another 15 laps or so. So some of the guys that are on 3-stop strategy will come, and we'll see what happens.
Well, right now, 3 cars certainly are the class of this race: Power, Pagenaud, and Castro Neves.
And Tim Cindric saying that Power has used a few too many push-to-passes. However, nobody's been as hungry as Simon Pagenaud. He only has 2 left for the second half of this race. Earlier this week, Indy 500 winner, NASCAR star, Formula One Grand Prix winner Juan Pablo Montoya visited the J.P. McGovern Sports and Recreation Center here in Houston and surprised some needy kids with some Verizon products that will help advance them with their education, and there was a nice check to go along with it as well. Let's check in with Jan.
And of course, his team owner at the moment is on the stand for Helio Castro Neves. You lead, but it looked like he was getting more pressure. Are you comfortable how the car is right now for Helio?
The car's very good. We just came out with the black tires. We probably under pressurized the tires, so we'll move them up on the next stop. But and we're trying to make our fuel window. We stayed out, didn't come in at this point, trying to make it a 2-stop race. But so far Eller's doing a great job.
You say under pressure because it actually worked for you in the first when you were on reds. It seemed like he had trouble when they were low, and then he was very happy. With the blacks, you have to adjust.
Yeah, we needed to have more pressure. The blacks didn't come up as fast as the reds did, that's all.
All right, looks like they can cure it in the next stop.
And if you haven't heard the bizarre story, the captain's driver, Brad Keselowski, who won the NASCAR Sprint Cup race last night, cut his hand in the celebration with a broken champagne bottle. So, Brad, if you're watching, heal up quickly, mate, and congratulations on the win last night.
Well, as we see these guys driving around on the pace laps, we've seen a couple guys sticking their hands out of the window like this, out of the top. What they're doing is these steering wheels now have this high rubber grip steering wheel, and now you see the gloves, those white rubber pads are high grip rubber. And what's happening is it's giving the drivers blisters. You have a lot of grip on the steering wheel, and their hands, even at this point in the race, 45 laps in, are completely wore out already.
The wore out is a compound effect, Paul. I'm thinking from yesterday's race as well. They had no chance to recover.
James Hinchcliffe, how far can the mayor of Hinchtown go? At the moment, he sits 6th. Back to Houston right after this. Let's go green.
Newgarden. I'm James Hinchcliffe, and we're professional space car drivers. I'm joined by 2 real astronauts, Drew and Anna, and they're going to take us around and show us how the big boys and girls do it here.
This is the front of the space station. There's a door.
Can I open it? This is pretty cool.
This is very strange.
We were trying to figure out how to set up a potty, and originally they weren't going to have any privacy, and I just know. We're going to figure out some way.
That is Spider Knot. That's Centaur.
Okay.
You're basically spinning for 2 days inside this capsule.
Have you had guys throw up?
Yeah.
A little warm in there? Yeah, dude, I'm over at Mission Control right now. I don't know his name. I'm going to call him George because George is the guy that sits on my timing stand. Yes, Mr. President.
A lot of people want to be race car drivers, and some race car drivers want to be astronauts. It's time to go racing again here in Houston. Castro Neves, Pagano, Power, and then Sebastian Bourdais.
A little bit of defending to the inside for Castro Neves. It might take him a couple of extra laps to get these tire temperatures up. We think he's running maybe a pound and a half less than the others, so it takes him a couple laps to get going, Steve.
Yeah, you do need that heat in the tyres, especially on these harder tyres. They'll be down on pressure anyway. Everybody will be suffering that, but you're absolutely right. Castro Neves is down on pressure on these tyres. They're going to have to get back up.
Look at Canaan coming forcefully through the pack. That's Sebastian Saavedra. He spun late yesterday in the race. He's spun again. Is there any damage to the car? We'll have a look. Will Power has been overtaken by Sebastian Bourdais. The Frenchman looking for a long time, a long wait, a long journey back to victory lane. Can he get on the podium here in a town where he's won twice before?
A little bit of sideways from Will Power. Now he's got a threat from his teammate and Juan Pablo putting the pressure on him. So
this is how it happened, and you get to ride with Sebastian Bourdais. And no surprise, it's turn 6. It is a great spot to pass, and that was a savvy move.
Yeah, that was just a perfect under-over. He faded and made it look like he was going to go to the outside. As Will defended, he sliced to the inside of him. It was a perfect pass, and now he's all over his countryman.
Wow, look at this. This is close.
Side for the lead of the race, Simon Pagano.
And Bourdais there. Bourdais right in the mix.
How about that? The first time we have seen Pagano head Helio Castro Neves.
So Pagano ahead of Castro Neves. Both of those guys on the harder tyres, and look how bumpy it is. There's contact.
Same thing yesterday with Sato and Aloshin.
Are you kidding?
Helio Castro Neves is out of this race.
And Sebastian has front wing damage as well. He kept going, but the front wing is broken now. He's going to have to come to the pits.
Paul, I was just going to say, on these red, softer tyres, it was, you know, Bourdais would have a little bit more mechanical grip going down into that corner, but it all went wrong.
He looks like he's going to try to keep going here. It's pretty, it's under yellow now, but it really was the same situation yesterday with Sato. He went, Castro Neves went to the inside, had a look, but then decided to cut back across, and Sebastian was already there.
Yeah. Let's have another look at it.
It looked like he was going to try to pop out and go, and he's like, I'm not going to make that. I'm going to get back on the racing line. and Sebastian was there.
Well, maybe just unaware that Sebastian was really in the mix there a couple of corners ago. It was very obvious. And again, on those red tires, I think he just had a little bit more mechanical grip to think, hey, I can maybe make this work. I'm going to have a look at it. But there is the result of it all.
This has huge championship implications.
It's just the guy can't buy a break. He was on the pole.
Yeah.
And Power's now in third place with Bourdais with damage. He's going to have to come to the pits. There's really no threat for Power now with Hunter Ray back in 15th. He can really just kind of write it in.
And think back just a couple of hours ago, guys, Helio, how pleased and excited he was with the result of qualifying. Absolutely thrilled with what had happened, and now look, game over.
Second in the championship and out of this race.
Be interesting to see if he has. He's slow to get out of the car, so maybe he might have hurt himself. Maybe jammed the wrist or whatever when that front wheel went into the wall, the same way that Sato did. We know he's already got a small finger issue. He's been going in to see Trammell. He has a piece of tape on his finger there, on the right hand. You can see there with holding the water bottle. So it seems like he's okay.
The Trammell that Paul refers to is Dr. Terry Trammell, who is for a long time treated the stars of the IndyCar Series. And look at this, down at KVSH Racing. They're getting prepared for a new front assembly for Sebastian Bourdais. What a shame. What a shame that it had to happen that way, because those guys were all putting on a terrific show. This is what happened from Bourdais' point of view.
I mean, Sebastian was just committed to the normal racing line, and I really don't think that Castroneves knew that he was even there. He just
I agree.
Decided to get back. I'm going to get back on line and get off the dirty part of the track, and Sebastian had his nose there.
I think it was exactly that. I think Castroneves thought, well, I'll have a look. Oh, I'm offline. I haven't got the grip. I'm going to back out of this. And at that point, he's not really aware of what's happening behind him. And unfortunately, Sebastian Bourdais was directly behind him.
And guess who is just sneaking up in the background? Juan Pablo Montoya. 2 podiums in succession, and he's vying for another one right here today. Well, there he is.
As soon as Bourdais comes for the pits for the wing damage, Montoya will be in the top 3 at that point.
Let's talk more about our new race leader, Simon Pagenaud, with Kevin Lee.
Well, they wanted to pit here under this yellow. Rob Edwards originally told Pagenaud to come down, but then they waved it off when they saw that no one else up front was going to pit. This may actually work out very much in their favor if Sebastian Bourdais stays out there. We think he has damage on that front wing, so he told Pagenaud that and said, this is your opportunity. You can open up a big gap and go really hard right after the restart. Jan?
And when you talk about that strategy, it turns out if Sebastian Bourdais has to pit, they're right at the cusp right now at when you could stop and make it to the end of the race. So if his hand is forced and he comes in, he might be in the catbird seat if there's more caution. Kelly?
Jan, we saw the team ready to give Sebastian Bourdais a new nose cone, but he has said he wants to stay out, and the team said, hey, if you can drive it, we'll leave you out. They want to try to stretch it to their fuel window. The team's saying the only way they plan to bring the car now is if IndyCar were to make them and mandate them to come and repair.
Well, I would think that they're going to force him to come in, because we wouldn't want the wing to fly off and then hit, like what happened with Hinch, have it hit another driver going down the straightaway. So it's definitely a danger.
Quick reminder that you can be a part of Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes by going to shophonda.com and sign up. Enter for your chance to lead the start of a Verizon IndyCar Series race. And it's important to know that no purchase is necessary. Just get amongst it and join the competition. Well, how is this one going to play out as we work lap 52? We're just over an hour into the race, and IndyCar race officials said today, with the heat in consideration, because it's higher than 90 degrees, the heat index is more than 100. Very tough, trying conditions for everybody involved. Want to thank our NBCSN production crew, all the cameramen and women, everybody doing a good job in these hot, sticky H-Town conditions. Just over halfway. The Tour de France begins Saturday here on NBCSN for 3 weeks. The world's best on 2 wheels battle those mountains, the sprints, the cobblestones, and bad weather for a chance to ride into history. It's the grand depart for the Tour de France Saturday morning, 6 Eastern, right here on NBCSN. We welcome you back to the streets of Houston. Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Steve Matchett, and all of our team on pit lane, and that's where we head now.
Leave it running, leave it running.
And I don't think this is too bad of a call for James Hinchcliffe. They're doing some work inside the car as well. Obviously not quite as quick as you would normally see. Hunter Ray's taking the opportunity to take service. If you have a Honda power plant and you can save fuel, it's possible you could make it. Obviously for Hinchcliffe, it wasn't just fuel strategy. They have other issues. They're going to the steering wheel for results.
Yeah, we just heard on the radio transmission, keep it running, which means to me, you don't switch the engine off. We have got to do some of the electronics, maybe set the ECU, but you can see there the umbilical cord from the mechanics inside the car. They seem to have done their work, released the car.
Let me know what you want me to do with the switches once I catch up. Okay, I'm asking that right now. Okay, let's do an ignition on and ignition off on the track there.
But do it very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this just could be a situation of having to run in the rain yesterday, in pouring rain, and the teams haven't had enough opportunity to really go, like, you go back to the shop and pull all the wiring harness out of the car, dry everything out, and this could be a situation where they've just got some moisture in the electrical connections.
Paul, earlier on we were talking about Bourdais running, staying out on track and running with this damaged front wing, and all weekend we've been talking about understeer and the understeer inherent built into this car. What's it like to drive the car with front wing missing? You've done it.
I've done it. It's not a lot of fun, but this is the fourth now as we come to greens, as Pagenaud gets a nice clean start. We'll see how long Sebastian can hang on here, but he's got a lot of competitive cars behind him, so it'll be tough to hang on.
Juan Pablo Montoya jumped out of line there, took a look at his Penske teammate Will Power. There he is right there. Charlie Kimball, Marco Andretti on the inside of Sato. Pushes him wide.
Just forces that through. Thanks very much.
Kanan now on Sato.
He's inside. He's inside.
And here comes Josef Newgarden for a shot at Sato as well. Everybody pouncing on the restart.
Oh boy, were they ever. Now the question is, with this lack of downforce, it's all very well touring behind the safety car, in the caution with a damaged front wing, but when you're up to speed, you need every ounce of downforce on the car around here.
Montoya has got power. Juan Pablo Montoya is up to third, and now he's working on the wounded Sebastian Bourdais for second.
Surely Bourdais got no response to this. I can't believe he can keep Montoya behind with a loss of front downforce. The aero balance must be horrible.
Well, he's doing a Paul Tracy here. He's hanging on to the leader, but it looks like Montoya got a run there through that. That's where it's going to hurt him the worst, is in that fast corner right there. Yeah. Montoya's having a look.
Inside. Here we go. Can he do it? No. And Bourdais skips the chicane.
I think he's going to have to give up that position.
I think you're right.
Look at this. Power, Kimball, Andretti, all fighting for that fourth spot. So Will Power, after surging from 18th to 3rd, is now struggling to hang on this restart.
I really think, Steve, that the Penske cars are running a slightly lower tire pressure, and it's just taking them longer to get up to speed. I mean, now Marco is all over the back of Power.
Down, heavy under braking. Look at Andretti go now. I think you're right. And all weekend long we've heard this from Will Power. Can't get the balance. I haven't got the drive. The platform's not stable. And I think now they've finally dialed it in with tyre pressures, but it's taken them this long to do it. Boy, clearly the setup on the Will Power car is very sensitive.
To the wall. Close to the wall right there.
Here goes Marco Andretti on Will Power. Thought about it. Didn't quite get it done. Not there at turn 10. It's too tight. He can get it done here, though. Down the front straight through turn 1. Andretti checks Power off his list. And Will has got his hands full with that car as he blocks from Charlie Kimball to try and hang on to that position. He is in major trouble.
Two corners in a row, he almost hit the wall. Now he's just got the whole pack of cars all over the back of him.
All over him. The back end of Will Power's car steps out. Kimball's absolutely right on it. He wants that position from Will Power. Power pushing to try and keep the car stable, but he is under attack.
And as we see Sato head to the pits, there is a message from race control that the 11, which is Sebastian Bourdais, needs to go behind the 2 and give Montoya second place for skipping that chicane.
Yeah, and the reason he skipped the chicane, Bourdais would have turned into that corner, no front wing, no downforce, absolutely no steering. There was no way he was going to make that chicane.
Well, he also had Montoya on the inside of him as well, so that they weren't going to get through there 2 abreast, and I think Bourdais thought maybe I'll just slide through the chicane and keep the position, but you know, I have to give it to race control. They're really keeping an eye on that when a guy defends the position and does the shortcut just to maintain position. you're going to have to give it up.
Yeah. Have a look at this car here right behind Tony Kanaan. It is the silver, blue and red car right there. The Strike Energy entry of Josef Newgarden. The 23-year-old American has done a mighty job today after an unforced error yesterday. His fault. He slammed the wall, damaged the car and bounced himself out of the race. And now he was the first to pit out of sequence. He started way back in the pack in 22nd. And there is that place being given back by Bourdais to Montoya.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say place given back. Montoya was never in second, but for the advantage that Bourdais gained. Kevin?
Juan Pablo Montoya nearly won yesterday for the first time in IndyCar since Gateway near St. Louis in 2000. And when he found out afterwards that the two other guys running up front were he was their hero, he said, well, they should have simply let me go by. But he said, in all seriousness, I thought I had something for Huertas, but I thought he was going to have to pit, so I didn't really want to take the risk. I thought I was just simply racing Kanaan. And then on the final restart, he said, I think I've got something. He had a run on Huertas before the caution came out. Still, second place, he's on the right path.
And while Montoya and Bourdais were fighting, I think Bourdais' pace has slowed down. Pagenaud has skipped away to a 5-second lead, so Montoya is now clear of Bourdais, but he's got some work to do to catch up to him.
I'm going to suggest, Paul, a lot of the reason for that Bourdais losing pace is because of that front wing damage. The front tyres are just being scrubbed away. There's no defense on the front of the car.
Starting to lock now, you see that. He's,
there he goes.
That's that lack of downforce on the front. Just locked the brakes. He doesn't have that front grip on the front with the wing. He's probably lost 500-600 pounds of front downforce. And now that the pressures are up, he's starting to feel it as he comes down here in the bumps. You can see he's just locked up. Almost ran into the runoff, and a nice easy spot for Marco. So Marco's having a good race as well.
And we were talking about this yesterday. It isn't just the fact that the damage to the front wing has taken away front downforce, but it's that all-important aero balance across the car. It just makes everything horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to induce a lot of understeer in the car, which will preserve the rear tires, but you just don't have the front grip and the braking stability that you would have with a full downforce front wing.
I must say, on saying that, on previous laps, Sebastian Bourdais has been pretty impressive in terms of lap times. He's probably losing a second. The cars around him are...
Power on the inside of Bourdais. Look at this. The two almost collide. Whoa! And Bourdais is now a passenger in his own car. He is just limping around. Losing positions by the lap.
You need the downforce to protect the tires, as Paul was explaining.
Do we need to change the front wing too, or no? It's not been just yet.
Montoya is in from second place.
And Montoya was going to need to pit before the other lead group. He pitted on lap 26 for the first time, 4 laps earlier than Will Power, 6 laps earlier than Simon Pagenaud. This should be the last stint. They're going on a scuff red. A little late on that front wing adjustment on the left side. And whoa, that is close.
Man, that was close.
He nearly took the crew member with him there.
Yeah, it was fast and it was slick and everything was going well, but you're right. Very, very close to taking the guy with him down the pit lane.
Here's your revised order. Simon Pagenaud with an 11-second lead because Montoya cycled himself out of that over Marco Andretti. Will Power third, Kimball, Bourdais, Kanaan, Newgarden, Briscoe, Aloshin and Justin Wilson.
Bourdais still hanging in there. You saw locking up from the tires, front tires there again. Just the car's all over the place now, but still out on track.
For those of you just joining us, Carlos Huertas, yesterday's race winner, the rookie from Colombia, he exited this race very early, and pole sitter Helio Castroneves crashed out a collision with Sebastian Bourdais, who is here on screen in the Mystic entry for KVSH Racing, still very much in this race. Into the latter third of round 10 of the Verizon IndyCar Series, the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. Boy, both races have given us so much to talk about, and this one's far from done.
Sebastian Bourdais, last time through time and scoring 1:01. He's still setting competitive times. I mean, he's clearly not happy with the car. We can see that he's losing positions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you can see there, he's pushing wide in that corner. And, you know, the problem, he's running decent times, but the other guys around him are running in 1 minute. So. Yeah. His engineer just called him in.
Josef Newgarden what is the story here?
Came off, guys. My right front tire came off.
And everybody dives for pit road, led by Sebastian Bourdais.
I wonder if they made it in time, because if there's no full course yellow.
We can see the clear damage to the left front wing.
They didn't change it.
They have not changed the wing. They have not changed the wing. Well, we're just saying it was still setting relatively competitive times, but boy, oh boy. I am surprised that the officials haven't made them change the wing.
And there is no yellow for Josef Newgarden. You saw him stranded out on the course. And the race goes on with Simon Pagenaud dictating the terms in this one. Here he is, he's on pit lane.
Just watch your speed coming in. It's going to be a short stop. It's going to be short on fuel. Let's get on the mark. Yeah, fine.
Short on fuel, so the tyre changing and the fuel is going to be pretty much neck and neck.
Final stop for Simon Pagenaud. He won at Indianapolis on the road course. No chassis adjustments unneeded because that car has been great, and it was a lightning fast pit stop, 7.8 seconds.
Yeah. And now we go under a full course caution.
Hey, all clear, let's go.
Will Power making his final stop. He's been able to fight his way through the field. He's going to be racing Marco Andretti up pit road. Power, it's going to be tight, and Power, I think, is just going to barely beat him out. Yes, he does.
Does he beat out Montoya? Yes, he does. And so too does Marco Andretti. So that was valuable for those guys. Remember, Montoya was in second at his time of pitting. So Andretti and Power leapfrog the Colombian. Third full course caution of this race. Brought out for a stranded Josef Newgarden down at turn 4. And this will tell the story of what happened.
Oh wow.
No wheel nut. You see the wheel has broken itself apart there, so.
That was dramatic.
It was very odd.
It has been a tough year, to say the least, for Sarah Fisher-Hartmann Racing and Josef Newgarden. Just at the point where he looked like he was piecing together a very solid result here in Houston today.
Don't drive it back right now with no nut on the right front there. Yeah, copy that. There's a little confusion with the safety team. They seemed to have trouble seeing that the wheel was off at first.
Now you can see a new car in second place there, and that is Michael Aloshin. Now, the last time he pitted was lap 50, so he's very much out of sequence in comparison to the likes of race leader Simon Pagenaud. There's some 13 laps difference on the last time he stopped in comparison to Pagenaud. So we'll see how this shakes out as we work the final third of the race here on the streets of Houston, the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. Who's going to get it? Pagenaud looks strong. Great to have you with us here on NBCSN for a doubleheader weekend in the Verizon IndyCar Series. The first, of course, was in the streets of Belle Isle, Detroit. This is the second, and there is a third doubleheader weekend coming up not too far away in Toronto, which is just a terrific weekend. And coming into this weekend, the forecast and what the calendar ahead looked like: 6 races, including 2 doubleheaders, in the space of 23 days. That's a huge workload, Paul Tracy.
Well, it's a massive workload for the teams. They've just had a 2-week break, so everybody's rested a little bit. But after a race like this, doubleheader here in Houston in the heat, track condition will definitely put the drivers under a lot of strain as we're getting ready for the restart. It'll be interesting to see how these two teammates, Aloshin and Pagenaud, treat each other. We know from yesterday that Aloshin is no stranger to getting in the mix, so he's now in second place, not a lap down, and it'll be interesting to see how these two act with each other.
That was the first time I've ever heard you be diplomatic. We're getting ready to go racing, and it's the teammates at the front for Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Racing. Simon Pagenaud, Michael Aloshin. Let's go racing back in Houston. Can anyone catch Simon Pagenaud? Because he has been strong, whether it was up against Helio Castro-Neves or his teammate Aloshin or Will Power. He felt he got robbed yesterday when he ran into brake trouble in the rainy, wet, slippery conditions. Nothing but dry and hot here today. And Pagenaud has been performing. Look at this, Jack Hawksworth on the inside of fellow Brit Justin Wilson, the rookie. He's not intimidated by anybody.
He's not intimidated at all. I was just looking at Jack's car, seeing that wonderful green and black car, and thinking, good old Jack coming from back at grid right up and getting in the mix. And he really is getting it right in the mix as well.
Will Power.
That was outside. That was gentle compared to what it could have been.
Do you really want to do that when your second place guy in the championship is out of the race?
Yep. Andretti on the inside of Wilson can't quite do it.
Oh, they touched. Wilson into the tires.
And he is furious. He is furious. And what we have to remember, as we told you in IndyCar Live earlier in the show, Marco Andretti is on probation for 3 races after not heeding the blue flags and a directive from race control yesterday. He was fined, and Andretti Autosport were fined, and I wonder what they will make of this.
Well, let's have another look at it.
We'll let you know what you need to, then we'll come in, we'll give you a long drink and a nose.
What do you think of this, Paul?
Well, I mean, he just dove it down the inside. It wasn't quite there, and just gave him a little tap in the back corner, loosened him up, and put him in the walls. A bit of a NASCAR move, but certainly not making any friends this weekend.
Wilson just absolutely baffled by it all, and then moments later, down in the chicane.
Shortcutting the chicane and still staying in the race. And
shortcuts the chicane ahead of Montoya. That ain't going to fly, is it?
What this does is it really discolors what has been a tremendous drive from Marco Andretti today. This is going to take things away from him, and it's not going to end the way it should. Let's check in with Kevin, who is with, I'm sure, a pretty disappointed Elio Castroneves.
No doubt about that, Lee, back in the transporter area. Elio, you had just lost the lead to Simon Pagenaud, I think around lap 49. Contact with Sebastian Bourdais. What happened?
Good question. I don't know. When I lost the lead with Page, I was actually trying to attack him, and actually I was attacking him, trying to pass him. So right now I'm just trying to pass and see I wouldn't be run out of room. So I'll come back to try to do the X, and I had no idea he was there. Obviously, when I'm attacking, I can't have my eyes in the back. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Why the guy have to put the car over there? But anyway. It's the law. It's the rules of traffic. I mean, the guy that hits the guy in the back, it's always wrong. He got to take care of it. And anyway, the car was awesome. Sorry, my frustration is a little bit out. I am upset, yes, because we had a great car. It's still like 30 laps to go. I wasn't even panicking or anything like that. But it is what it is, you know. Now we gotta move on and see what happens. But the Shell Pennzoil car was awesome. Chevy got great power, and it's just a shame that we unfortunately have drivers like that does not use common sense, and that's what we need to have. But it is what it is. It's always going to have ups and downs. But thank you, everyone. You
have had a sore finger since Long Beach, and now your thumb's bothering you. How significant is that?
Well, it is. I can see that it's going to be swollen tomorrow. It's going to be swollen in the next week, but nothing we can do in terms of that, because there was so suddenly that what happened that I don't even have enough time to take my hand off the steering wheel. So, but anyway, good job. He finished my race. Look what happened. Thanks.
Thank you, Elio. Well, still, he's as frustrated as you'll see him. Still a smile part of the time, but he's upset right now, and he's all the way back to 52 points back in the championship as it stands right now for Will Power.
And you can just tell the frustration in his voice. It was a pretty forced smile. Pretty harsh criticism of Sebastian. I think it was a racing incident. It's just one of those things, but you can definitely sense, Lee, that he's frustrated. He just can't catch a break and close any ground on his teammate Power.
And he felt that today was that big opportunity, because as we see the damage on the back of Marco Andretti's Snapple entry, Elio Castroneves felt today was the big opportunity, because he was starting on pole position. The championship leader and his teammate Will Power was starting from 18th. So understand.
Remember, you're going to go to emergency mode on the gear lever. We got plenty of time, guys. You have a drink of water. New set of tires. New set of tires.
Michael Cannon speaking to him on the radio again. They had problems selecting first gear in the past, so they go to emergency mode, which overrides the sensors. He obviously has lost a lap, so there's no real rush on this pit stop. And a tough day for Justin Wilson. I'm sure frustrated, just like we heard from Elio Castroneves.
So, with 21 laps to go, we'll squeeze in a quick commercial break and come back and settle this one. Slowly working our way back to green flag racing here at the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. It's round 10 of the 2014 Verizon IndyCar Series, and it's been a weekend that has given us plenty of drama, plenty of incidents, and we've just got word that the collision between Marco Andretti and Justin Wilson will be under further review. And look at Montoya, he's saying, look, this car has got damage on it. Call him in, let's clean this up. This is a safety risk. So for those of you just turning on, let's bring you up to speed with what's happened so far in this second race of the doubleheader weekend. Helio Castroneves in the Pennzoil machine started from the pole position, and he was pretty pumped up about that. Early in the race, look at Ryan Hunter-Reay off on the left. So we ride with Charlie Kimball, the 28, the Indy 500 champ, made some pretty good early ground. On the second lap, it was over for yesterday's winner. First time IndyCar winner, Carlos Huertas out. We zip ahead to lap 29, and Graham Rahal, after pitting, had Michaela Lotion all over the back of him, and then we later learned that Rahal had run into gearbox problems, and that put him towards the back of this pack. And behind his National Guard teammate was Carlos Munoz, who smashed the wall, and after finishing on the podium, took himself out of this race today. Into the second half of the race, and the most talked about incident between the second place Helio Castroneves and third place Sebastian Bourdais. Helio, we just heard from, very frustrated, not pleased, and that incident will be reviewed after the race. And whether it was a brake rotor blown or a hub issue, whatever it was, this ended Josef Newgarden's day and brought out the second last yellow. This caused the most recent yellow. Collision between Marco Andretti and Justin Wilson, and look at the frustration there from Wilson. So that sets the picture for you as we get ready to go back to racing, and its teammates first and second. Simon Pagenaud, Mikhail Aloshin, the Russian rookie, and then speaking of rookies, the energy car in third is Jack Hawksworth for Brian Herder Autosport. Look at Montoya, power, and they come through on Marco Andretti. He's getting roughed up.
And this car's all over the chicane. Hunter-Reay took the shortcut. I don't know if that pass is going to stick, even though as Marco gets the bumper from the target car, Charlie, now they're side by side. Kanaan in the mix now, pushing on his old ex-teammate.
Everybody is looking to get a position as quickly as they can on this restart. Bourdais in there he is, right behind Tony Kanaan as he sweeps around the outside as well. And here comes Luca Filippi on the inside of Marco Andretti. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Nice move.
What a move. And, you know, it just shows, get one car gets a run on you and pushes you offline. It's like you just can't get back into the line and you just get freight trained by 3 or 4 other cars as soon as you lose your momentum.
Yeah, there's young Jack Hawksworth right ahead of Montoya. Montoya keeps having a look, but
Hinchcliffe in trouble. Wow. And you may have noticed that power got by Hawksworth, and Hawksworth's being worked over by...
there it is! Oh. There it is! Man, you knew that was going to happen. Montoya was looking to the left, to the right, to the left. Young Jack thinking, hey, what have I got to do to get out of his way?
Well, Montoya is today and yesterday looking like the Montoya of old. He's sniffing at another podium. Obviously wants to get up there with his teammate, Power. Hawksworth. He's having another look on the outside. We know that this move doesn't work very well, but he might try the over-under.
Hawksworth had a career best, a year best. Whoa! That was close.
He's trying the over-under, and he's still there. And you're not going to get too abreast through there.
Keep on it, Jack. Keep on it. Get away from him.
That's one Pablo Montoya you're fighting with. On you. He doesn't care.
Montoya's coming again. Montoya wants that position from Jack Hawksworth. Jack's thinking, I'm having none of this, lad. I'm up front of the race. This is fantastic.
Oh, he got a good run there. Jack Hawksworth didn't get through the quick corner, so I think you're going to see him make a dive to the end. Oh, Jack blocks it.
Montoya wants it. Montoya wants it so bad.
Right outside.
Did he clip the wall? Did he brush the wall? And Charlie Kimball arrives on the scene. He'll give us a front row seat. Watch this.
Come on, Montoya, keep your head about you. You got a good chance. That's These outside moves are not going to pay off just like that happened.
Lost the position. Young Jack stops ahead, keeps ahead of Montoya.
Kind of reminds us of a Montoya circa 1999.
Yes, it does.
I can't make it on fuel.
Ryan Hunter-Reay has made up a huge amount of ground. What a comeback from the 28. He has pitted many times. They've come back in cycle ground, continue to top it up. And the Indy 500 winner is making good ground. Takuma Sato. Day is done.
Left front.
What happened?
No comment.
Well, his day is done looking at that left front, isn't it?
And this is some frantic racing, and these yellows just breed yellows. These guys are absolutely going crazy on each other.
15 laps to go.
That last restart was incredible.
That was some fantastic racing, wasn't it?
Push and shove, push and shove. Incidentally, the moment between Jack Hawksworth and Juan Pablo Montoya, no further action from that. Look further back, and Sato climbed all over that curb, and it just got him bang.
Yeah, he just got up too high on the curb. The front tires came down off the curb, started to hop the front end, and then it just skipped across the road into the wall.
Both days here in Houston have ended in the wall for Takuma Sato. If you need to do something, do it quick. We're going to take a break and come back for the final 15 laps. You know it's going to be good.
Back at the Grand Prix of Houston under caution at the moment, so we have an opportunity to check in with the Peterson of Smith Peterson Motorsports. Your cars are 1-2 at the moment. You're here on the timing stand for Michaela Lotion. By my calculations, you're good on fuel. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're good. Full power for the rest of the race.
Can you in some way be defensive and try and keep a charging willpower away from Simon Pagenaud?
Well, the last little stint out there, Michaela was gaining about a half a second a lap on willpower, so I think we're okay with it. We don't have to be defensive.
Now, they say what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, there were braking issues, there was contact, there was high emotion. Today, now 1-2. How are you feeling?
A lot better. No, it's that's the nice thing about these two-day events. The bad days are behind you right away. So.
All right. He hopes, obviously, they bring them home, Kelly.
With Brian Herta, team owner here of the 98 car, and we just saw his driver, Jack Hawksworth. You've called a great strategy to get him in position, but what do you think of his job holding off Juan Pablo Montoya?
Well, he's driving hard. Those guys are racing really hard out there. Juan Pablo's on the Firestone Reds, and, you know, that's going to be a hard job on the restart. If we can hold him off and get the tires to settle in, the blacks will come in, but it's going to take a little longer. So he's doing a great job, though. We're really happy with him.
All right, thank you. Brian Herta, hoping for good results from his young rookie, Jack Hawksworth.
So let's find out who has gone the Pennzoil extra mile. And the extra mile performer is the man in the Integrity Energy car. Yes, rookie Jack Hawksworth, the 23-year-old British driver, has just had the fight of his life with JPM, Juan Pablo Montoya, and for now, he's come out on top. That's why he is our Pennzoil extra mile performer of the day. But the race is not done. It's taking a little longer to clean up the Takuma Sato mess. We'll continue to do that. Come back and race to the end. Stay with us. An extremely busy time in the Verizon IndyCar Series next weekend. The next round, and it comes to you from Pocono. Remember what happened last year? Team Ganassi turned their season around with a 1-2-3 finish. That's the first time that had ever happened for team owner Chip Ganassi. We'll see what happens at the Tricky Triangle next Sunday at noon Eastern for the Pocono Indy 500. IndyCar 500, I should say, fueled by Sunoco. Now, Simon Pagenaud would like the Honda pace car to go a little bit faster. He has shown and communicated a little bit of frustration, and he would like it to move faster. The winner of the inaugural Grand Prix of Indianapolis, he is now a three-time IndyCar Series winner, and they have all been very special moments. He's a hard worker, he's a hard driver, he's a talented and very diverse driver, and he could come away with another one here today.
And Lee, he's a very confident driver this weekend. He was so frustrated yesterday because he said, we've been the class of the field all weekend, but the brake issues because of the cool temperatures with the moisture took away our opportunity to win, and it took away a chance to make up ground on Will Power. They entered 91 points back. Today, they're still 91 points back, and he said, I doubt that Will Power has those kind of problems 2 days in a row, which he has not, but he's still in position to get his 4th IndyCar win. Jan?
And you take a look at the pace car. Behind the wheel is Johnny Rutherford. We heard that Simon Pagenaud wanted him to speed up yesterday in these hot conditions. He lost the front brakes on the pace car. He had to pump the pedal 3 times. Remember, he nearly led the most laps in race number 1 because of so much caution. He said he had used all of his years of experience to try and get that car to stop. So today, he's looking after the brakes.
Well, as we're coming to green this lap, 10-lap shootout from here to the end. The pace car is leading them around. Steve, what we're going to have now is the gloves are going to come off. It's going to be a bare-knuckle fight to the end now. If you thought the racing was frantic at the beginning of the race, we're really going to see some action now.
It's so exciting. I mean, it was exciting yesterday at this point in the race, wasn't it? We're in exactly the same position again, sans the wet conditions. Now the track is absolutely dry, but you're right, it is going to be fast and frantic.
2 of the top 4 are rookies. Juan Pablo Montoya in 6th. Ryan Hunter-Reay, after starting well down the order in 22nd position, is in 7th. Tony Kanaan looking to turn things around after getting taken out late yesterday. He started in 8th position. Bourdais, Filippi, ready to go racing. Is this to the very end? We'll find out if Simon Pagenaud is going to drive to victory on the streets of Houston, or is his younger rookie teammate Kimball's making a move on the inside of Jack Hawksworth. He can't quite do it.
Oh, there's contact, but Hawksworth keeps the car alive and keeps the car in line, but there was contact.
And Montoya working on Kimball. Went one side, now the other.
And a nice little run there as Kimball defends.
That was
and
close.
Kimball gets into the back of Hawksworth, so that has backed Montoya up to Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's having a look coming down the straightaway.
Remember, they've still got push to passes left, some more than others. Michaela Lotion's got 4 versus Simon Pagenaud's 1.
It's looking like Kimball's damaged the front wing on his car. Well, there's been a lot of collision, there's been a lot of contact, but just look at the front wing. Yeah, I think there is some damage on that front wing.
Like he had a little bit of contact to the back with Hawksworth. The front wing end plate is bunched up there on the right-hand side. You can see the front second element is up straight up in the air. So
that's exactly what he's coming again. He's coming again on Jack.
This is where he tried the restart and couldn't quite pull it off. Montoya has a look at Charlie Kimball and then thinks twice.
Keep your head in it, Jack. Keep your head in it, lad. You started this race dead last. You're currently running 4th.
Montoya!
Nice move by Montoya.
Wow, so Kimball struggling with downforce. Montoya sensing it, could smell the blood in the water and made the move on Kimball, and now he's after young Jack.
He's got the run on him here. I think you're going to see a move here. Hawksworth looking to block the inside, so it's going to be an outside move that doesn't work very well.
8 to go.
Turn 6 outside is not possible there, and here comes Kimball, who contacts Juan Pablo Montoya. It doesn't affect Montoya though, keeps powering on. He's determined to win this fight against the rookie.
You've got to be so careful with these wing to tire contacts. I'm amazed that nobody's gotten any flat tires today.
Montoya to the left, Montoya to the right. He's right on the back of Hawksworth's gearbox, but Hawksworth is still keeping him behind.
Look at the train behind them though.
See him get him here. Montoya's all over the back of him now.
This is the fight of his life. Jack Hawksworth defending from Juan Pablo Montoya and an impatient group behind.
Steady,
Those outside moves are not working, and Kimball is able to come back around Montoya because he tried the outside again.
You're right, Kimball's back in front of Montoya. Montoya can't believe what's happening.
Hunter-Reay has a look at Montoya now. Changing by the corner, Kanaan, Bourdais, Andretti, Filippi.
Didn't I tell you the gloves were off, Steve?
Yes, sir. Yes, you did.
And Simon Pagenaud has a 1.5 second lead over his teammate on board with RHR, Ryan Hunter-Reay. He says, how do I get amongst this?
Yeah, it ain't going to take much to get amongst it.
Brian Herta could be right. He said if we could get through the first couple of laps on these blacks with the other guys on the reds, we might be able to stabilize. And you can see he's just now skipped away from Kimball.
From Kimball, he has opened up a gap. You're right, he has.
However, the top three are in a league of their own. Pagano, Aloshin, and Will Power.
Laps to go, 6.
They have got a monster lead over this pack here, headed by Jack Hawksworth, the rookie. And the way that he's been able to hold off the likes of Charlie Kimball, who's an IndyCar race winner himself, Juan Pablo Montoya, has been pretty impressive.
Boy, we had breakfast very close to Brian Herta this morning, and I asked him how he expected today to go. He said it'll be a much more normal race than yesterday. It's anything but normal, I would imagine. Certainly for Jack it is. This is phenomenal. Dead last to running fourth.
This is Sebastian Bourdais we ride with at the moment. The Frenchman is in 8th place. And considering damage on that front wing that they didn't change earlier, he's hanging tough. Been a pretty productive weekend for Jimmy Vasser and Kevin Kalkoven's team, KVSH Racing.
The gaps have stabilised a little bit now, haven't they?
Here's race leader Simon Pagano. It's a 1-2 for Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Racing. The Oculus and SMP Racing entries, first and second, long gap back. That's about 6 seconds to Will Power.
That's quite a surprise to me that they've been able to pull that far away from Power.
Final 5 laps here in Houston on what has been an eventful but a very enjoyable weekend in the Verizon IndyCar Series. And for points leader Will Power sitting third, his nearest rival is his teammate Helio Castro Neves. He's out of this race.
Overtake.
And that helps consolidate Power's position at the top.
Whoa.
Inside, Bourdais on Hunter Ray.
With a damaged wing.
And Hunter Ray has 6 overtakes still to Bourdais' 1 and Montoya's 1.
Bourdais thinking, what damaged front wing?
This is what happened just over a lap ago. Tony Kanaan up ahead. We ride with Bourdais.
Wow. Damaged the other side.
It's really damaged the wing now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's equaled itself out.
It just goes to show you how resilient these Dallara cars are. These guys are running around. Just about every car up the front here, other than Pagano, has got some form of damage on it. And these cars are so strong and tough that you can just continue to race on an equal playing field with everybody.
That forced Tony Kanaan to come to pit lane, by the way. And he cannot win a trick this year, or particularly this weekend.
Well, I think every car in this train must have a certain amount of damage on it.
Pagano is flying away from his teammate Aloshin. The lead is now 3.3 seconds. As the laps wind down here in Houston, the second doubleheader of the year. There it is, teammate to teammate. That's what 3.4 seconds looks like. It is a huge distance back to Will Power. And as he falling back towards Hawksworth, he's got about 2 or 3 seconds gap.
And what a day it would be for the Schmidt-Peterson team. This will be their first 1-2 finish if they can pull that off. And this little team from Indianapolis to compete against the powerhouses of Ganassi and Penske with the success that they have. Limited budget is pretty impressive.
It is super cool. It really is. Bourdais is now right on the back of Montoya. 3 laps to go, but Bourdais says, I'm having it. If it's there, I'm going to take it.
To your point, Paul, this is a weekend for the smaller teams. Dale Coyne Racing yesterday. Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Racing today.
On the front behind you.
Crazy thing is, it's becoming more and more frequent. We used to see a lot of... Bourdais just slices down the inside. What a move.
Wow.
And so too does Luca Filippi on Marco Andretti. That move there was for 9th. Nice work, and Ryan Briscoe's coming on strong late in the race as well in the NTT data entry. There's Justin Wilson, Saavedra, Mike Conway. They're all outside the top 10 at the moment. And Justin Wilson will be thinking about what has got away after he was contacted by Marco Andretti and put into the tyre wall. That's still under review, by the way. There could be time penalties handed down when this race is done.
This race will soon be done. 2 laps to go. Before very long, it'll be 1 lap to go.
Well, Will Power's got a flat
Will Power's got a problem, yeah.
He's got a broken rear.
Going, man, lift it home if you can.
Did he hit the wall?
Let's see what happens. Oh.
No.
He looks like he's got a broken rear suspension. He must have hit somewhere around the track.
Turn 10, maybe?
Could have.
Like we've seen. So, Simon Pagenaud on his way to the white flag.
And there it is, Lee.
One more lap, buddy. One more lap. +6, +10, +6, +10.
So easy, and look at Will Power losing positions. Points just evaporating from him. And that will help Helio Castro-Neves. So some relief there in the fight for this championship. Luca Filippi, just when he was headed for a top 10 result, that's how his race will end.
Well, as a result of Power having problems, Jack Hawksworth with the Brian Herter entry is currently running 3rd from dead last.
So 6th was his career best yesterday. He's on his way to a podium, and Simon Pagenaud is on his way to his 2nd win for the 2014 season and his 4th career win. The man who put it on pole for yesterday, the 30-year-old Frenchman who's based in Indianapolis, has been training hard in San Diego recently just to get ready for the heat and humidity, but Houston was not hard enough. Pagenaud wins in Texas.
1-2, you were first, Mikey second. That is an awesome day.
The voice of Rob Edwards, the joy within the Schmidt-Peterson-Hamilton team. Mikhail Aloshin, the rookie, gets on the podium. It's a scramble for the final positions. Montoya, Briscoe, Andretti, they're all at it. Wilson's in the mix also. Look at this.
Is this rush hour in New York City?
Coming to the checker.
And Marco Andretti gets hustled out there. And it was Kimball for 4th, Bourdais, Hunter-Ray, Montoya, Briscoe, Andretti. And then Will Power limped across the line for 10th. But the day belongs to these guys. Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Racing, and Simon Pagenaud. And 2 rookies for the 2nd day in a row on the podium.
Yeah, buddy, that was very, very impressive. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. You did a fantastic job.
Let's go to the winning team. Here's Kev.
Rob Edwards is the team manager for Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Motorsports. 1-2 today. Simon said, I think we're the class of the field. We just need things to work out, and they did.
Yeah, you know, we were so disappointed yesterday because we thought we had the class of the field yesterday. Obviously, it didn't work for us, so we were that little bit extra determined today to make amends for it. And, you know, for Simon to win and for Mikhail to be second, 1-2 for the team. Just phenomenal. So happy for, you know, Rick, Sam, Davey. Just a great day.
Sam's watching at home, enjoying this, and I hear it's your birthday on Tuesday, an early birthday present.
I don't know who told you that, but that's true. And yeah, it's couldn't ask for a better birthday present. Just phenomenal.
All right, let's head to victory lane. That's Rob Edwards.
Terrific result for a very hard-working team. Pagenaud notching up the wins quickly. Detroit, Baltimore, the inaugural Indianapolis Grand Prix, and now at Houston. And he vaults himself back in to championship contention. Celebration times in Houston for a couple of smaller teams in the IndyCar Series. Yesterday it was Dale Coyne Racing. Today it's all about Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Racing. And Simon Pagenaud is a winner and a championship contender, Kev.
Oh, and the celebration is going to be special for this team. 4th career Verizon IndyCar Series win for Schmidt, Peterson, Hamilton Motorsports, and their driver, Simon Pagenaud, who worked for this one here today. Took the lead from Helio Castro-Neves on lap number 49 and made it stick to the end. First, before we talk about this race, everybody's suffering right now. How are you? Hands, heat exhaustion, everything that goes with it.
Heat. The rest was fine. I'm sorry, guys. I might be a little faint, but I'm not going to be like Helio. But awesome race.
Davey Hamilton, who was a co-owner of the team, stepping in.
Awesome race. The car was just beautiful. I don't know if you saw the onboard, but awesome braking, awesome traction, awesome grip. What else could you expect as a driver? You know, that's why I was so disappointed yesterday. We have such a fast car this weekend, and thanks to the group, you know, Schmidt Peterson Motorsports. We regrouped really well after Detroit, and they came up with this package. Beautiful. Thank you so much. But it was really hot. Really hot.
Is this the most challenging race you've done, especially on the second half of one yesterday?
Certainly, yes. Not in terms of steering effort, but exhaustion from heat. I mean, there's no air. As you could see, under yellow, I was opening the visor, but the safety car was going so slow, I didn't get any air in the helmet. So even safety car was worse than running fast. So, yeah, good day, though, you know?
Well, you and Helio early on were the class of the field, and you two were running away a little bit. How did you ultimately get by him shortly after that restart?
Well, you know, I was on black tires. I was a little faster than Elio. He was very good on reds, but on the black tires, black Firestone, he was really good. He was hooked up. I had a lot of front grip, very good traction, and out of turn 3 there, I had a good run on Elio. He blocked the inside. I faked the outside, and I went back inside and crossed him. Elio was super clean, and it was a good pass. Very happy for the team.
Still 4th in the championship, but Simon Pagenaud has made up a lot of points today. Congratulations. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Over to you, Jan.
And, of course, there's a lot of congratulations going around because it's a team 1-2 for you. We just heard from Simon saying he felt a bit faint. How are you feeling?
Well, I feel, you know, it's, you know, I can't really explain my feeling, you know. I just have so much emotion at this moment. We had a great qualifier today. We had a great car during all race. And then I had a contact with Graham after his pit stop. And then at this moment, I thought that that's it, you know. But then we had a good strategy, and as I said, I had the same pace as the leaders, so I could catch up and I could overtake some of them, and because of the strategy, we were up there. And then can you imagine, in the end, I had a flat tire. I had a flat tire in my car in the last few laps, so I was really lucky to finish, actually, really lucky. I'm very happy, and the team did an amazing job. I just can't even say, I don't have any English words, you know, to thank the team for that, because they did an amazing job.
Well, I think he had a lot of English words. Congratulations, Mikhail. Kelly?
Well, the rookie Jack Hawksworth picking up his first podium, and it was a phenomenal strategy that got you up in that position. But how on earth did you hold off guys like Juan Pablo Montoya and Charlie Kimball?
Yeah, just a fantastic day, really. You know, starting 23rd. We've been started at the front so many times this year, and it's just not happened for us race day. And today we had a terrible qualifying, and we ended up on the podium. So pretty fantastic day. The guys did a great job on pit wall. We pitted at the right time. And we were quick at the right time as well. We were able to pass cars at the right time and, yeah, just get the job done. So I'm just so delighted and so proud of Ryan Hiller Autosport, the whole team. They really deserve this because it's been rough this year, you know. We've been so fast on occasions and it's just not quite happened, you know, and we've not quite put it together. But today we did it, and just really proud of all the guys. Thoroughly deserved, and, yeah, on to the next one.
Well, now we've seen 4 rookies on the podium in 2 days. What does that say about the level of competition in this field?
Yeah, competition in the whole field's been strong all year. You know, it's any given weekend, you know, anybody can, you know, stick it on the pole and anyone can win a race. So it's very competitive. Lots of good teams, lots of good drivers. You know, and each weekend it seems to change. So, you know, you've got to get it perfect every weekend, and you know, we got some work to do still, but I'm very happy with, you know, all the job the guys have done this weekend. You know, have a great qualifying, stuck at it, and yeah, we got a trophy, so I'm happy.
Best results of the season for Brian Herta Autosport.
For your young drivers or young athletes watching, you've got to have a goal, and Jack Hawksworth did. He said we need to convert the results we've been having to better results, and he has got his maiden podium. Tough day in Houston. We'll wrap it up when we come back. Back in Houston, and there's your winner, Simon Pagenaud, now a 4-time winner in the Verizon IndyCar Series, just cooling off and getting plenty of congratulations, and deservedly so. He fought hard early with Helio Castroneves, and in the end, he cruised home comfortably over his teammate Mikhail Aloshin. 2 rookies on the podium, and Charlie Kimball really hung tough for the entire weekend to get a top 4 spot over Sebastian Bourdais, who gained very valuable position. Will Power limped home in 11th with that rear suspension problem on that right-hand side. However, it hasn't hurt him a whole lot in the points. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. And look at our pole sitter. Helio Castroneves continues the trend of pole sitters not winning in 2014. Kevin?
And what a strange weekend it was. Certainly did not go the way Will Power wanted it to go, 14th and 11th, but yet you're where you started, 39 up in the championship. But what did happen? Because you'd somehow recovered from 18th to 3rd until the last few laps.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great first stint. Had a really good car, you know, passed a lot of cars and got up to 3rd there through the exchange. And was very strong. And then a part that failed on 2 other cars at the Indy road course. You know, the team asked to have it modified for Delaro, but it holds the shims in for the camber. They fell out and then it just started rattling around. It's getting worse and worse. Tried to hold on to it, man, and it just failed completely down the end there with 2 to go. So, feel bad for everyone at Verizon and, you know, all the sponsors, Shell, to fight that hard and not really come away with anything.
He still has a nice advantage on the championship, and just like Simon Pagenaud, Will Power also really suffering from the heat. It was a tough day, Jan.
And a much better day at the office for Charlie Kimball coming home fourth. I asked you, how'd you get damage on the front wing? You said, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was pretty busy. That was a lot of fun. Let's do it again tomorrow. You know, the car was really good all day. The 11-mirror flex touch, I think the colors look good, and it seems to go pretty quick as well. So, or quickly. I'm pretty happy with that. And, you know, the Novo Nordisk team worked really hard last night to get the car fixed from yesterday's sort of incidental contact, and took us out yesterday, and we kept our streak going. Every time we finished a race this year, we finished in the top 10. So it was pretty tough racing there, both with Juan and with the 98 car. You know, I really enjoyed racing the 2 car, but you know, at the end to come home top 5, finish 4th, I'll take that for sure. It was wheel to wheel and then some.
And as a person, we see so many drivers now completely gassed. And as someone who's championing the cause for diabetes, how are you feeling in what must be one of the most grueling tests you've had?
Yeah, it was pretty hot. It's the humidity that really gets you. But overall, I feel really good. Like I said, I'd be ready to go do it again tomorrow. We had a lot of fun, and the track's rubbering in. I think a lot of credit to the Sheldon Pennzoil Houston Grand Prix. They did a lot of work since last year, made the track really raceable and a lot of fun for us.
Well, he's doing a great job with the cause. Looks a very fresh Charlie Kimball with a great day.
He certainly does, yeah, and that was pretty exciting stuff at the end. Here's how the points look, and Will Power came into this weekend with a 39-point advantage. He leaves with a 39-point advantage. However, the others are coming. The likes of Hunter-Reay and Pagenaud have closed the gap considerably to the championship leader. And you see Juan Pablo Montoya in the top 5 as well. Marco Andretti was able to rebound on yesterday. When we come back, we're going to hear from a man who finished in the top 5, Bourdais. Houston has given us another memorable weekend in the Verizon IndyCar Series. 2 days, 2 races, 2 different winners, and 2 smaller teams prevailing. Simon Pagenaud really in this championship hunt. Another Frenchman did well. Sébastien Bourdais, back-to-back top 5s. That's something he has not done this season, and he's with Kelly Stavist.
Sébastien Bourdais comes away with a top 5 finish, but you did so much of the end of that race with a broken wing. How did you manage to hold on to it?
We had bumped a bit the rear tire pressures to fight understeer, so I had too much understeer, but you know, we fought through, and I think the last contact in that pile-up at the chicane opened the nose, and somehow it put some drag, but it put some downforce at the front, so it balanced it out. And you know, we were on the charge, and the car responded, and you know, it was such a hard breaker when there was that contact with Helio, because you know, I went to the right, and then I had the nose on him, and then he moved in front, and that was that, you know. So it really ruined our race, because after that the car was not the same, and I had to be very creative inside the car, brake balance and everything else to make it work, and made a ton of mistakes initially, and finally I got a handle on it, but it took me a while.
How demanding has this weekend been? We were just admiring the blisters on your hands.
It's been pretty tough, but thankfully I've managed to stay hydrated throughout and recharge overnight. So I was feeling pretty good in the car. I think it showed. We put on a hell of a show this weekend with the Mystic machine, and hopefully it's just the beginning. You know, summer seems to be pretty good to me.
Thanks, Seb.
Yes, he has started summer in the right way. Steve, final thoughts on the weekend here in Houston. Great to have you here, by the way.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm a big fan of the naval movie Master and Commander, and today I thought Jack Hawksworth put in a masterful and commanding drive. So I'm not going to call him Young Jack any longer. He's going to be Lucky Jack to me.
He certainly showed a lot of maturity, didn't he? So too this man here. He is the complete package, Simon Pagenaud. Paul Tracy, your thoughts on Houston?
Well, what an event. I mean, you walk into these events and you just can't pick a clear winner out of the field. It can come from anywhere. When you talk about Jack Hawksworth starting last in the field and finishing 3rd, you know, Briscoe, these guys all coming through the field, just it's up and down and up and down, and that's what's so great about IndyCar. You just don't know what's going to happen.
And as the series, look at Pagenaud, he's got some energy back now. He's certainly got some energy back now. The series heads to Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, next weekend, and as the series is in the second half, it just gets more and more interesting. Stay with us here on NBCSN. Kurt Busch 36 is next, and again, Pocono next weekend for the Pocono IndyCar 500. For more information on the Verizon IndyCar Series, head to NBCSports.com. We congratulate Simon Pagenaud on an amazing drive, and we thank our full production team for putting in a huge effort on this hot weekend in Houston. We'll see you soon on your home of open wheel racing.